There is a quiet strength in knowing when to hold your peace, a wisdom that flows like a deep river, calm on the surface but carrying a vast and transformative power underneath. Life frequently tosses us into the middle of storms, where emotions run high and the urge to defend ourselves, to explain our position, or to strike back with words becomes almost overwhelming. Yet, if we look closely at the path of those who have truly found peace, we see a recurring theme of noble silence, a deliberate choice to remain still when the world expects a reaction. This is not a silence born of weakness or a lack of things to say, but a silence born of a heart that is so full of understanding that it no longer feels the need to compete with the noise. In the ancient times, during the days when the light of wisdom walked the earth in human form, there was a young man who was known for his sharp tongue and his ability to win any debate. He felt a sense of pride in his intellect, believing that by speaking more and faster than others, he was demonstrating his superiority and his grasp of the truth. One day, he heard of a community of practitioners who lived in a remote valley, people who were said to possess a clarity of mind that surpassed all the scholars of the cities. Driven by curiosity and a desire to prove himself, he traveled many days to reach them, carrying with him a long list of questions and arguments designed to trap even the most seasoned teacher. When he arrived, he found a group of people sitting under the shade of a large banyan tree, their faces radiating a sense of calm that he had never encountered before. He approached the eldest among them and immediately began to speak, pouring out his theories and challenging their way of life with a flurry of complicated words. The elder listened with a soft smile, nodding occasionally, but did not offer a single word in return, simply looking into the eyes of the young man with a gaze that felt like a cool breeze on a hot summer day. Minutes turned into an hour, and the young man gradually began to lose his momentum, his voice faltering as he realized that his words were falling into a vast ocean of stillness. He felt a sudden wave of embarrassment, realizing that his need to speak was actually a shield he used to hide his own inner restlessness and his fear of being truly seen. In that profound silence, he started to hear the sound of the leaves rustling, the distant call of a bird, and the steady beat of his own heart, sounds that he had been too busy talking to notice. The elder finally spoke, his voice sounding like a soft melody that harmonized with the environment, saying that the cup of the mind must be empty before it can be filled with the nectar of reality. He explained that when we are always talking, we are only repeating what we already know, but when we listen, especially to the silence, we open ourselves to learning something entirely new. This young man stayed in that valley for many months, not to learn new words, but to learn the art of being still, discovering that his silence was the most eloquent teacher he would ever have. We often forget that our words are like seeds, and once they are scattered by the wind of our breath, we can never truly take them back or control where they land. Sometimes, the most compassionate thing we can do for another person is to offer them our quiet presence, allowing them the space to be heard without the interference of our own opinions or judgments. When someone is drowning in grief or lost in the fog of confusion, 1,000 logical explanations will rarely provide the comfort that a simple, silent hand on the shoulder can offer. There is a subtle medicine in silence that heals the wounds of the ego, helping us to realize that we do not need to be the center of every conversation or the winner of every disagreement. In the quiet, we find the courage to look at our own flaws with a sense of humor and kindness, recognizing that everyone we meet is fighting a hard battle that we might know nothing about. A story is told of a merchant who was always stressed, his mind constantly racing with thoughts of profit and loss, his tongue always moving to negotiate or complain. He visited a wise hermit living on a hill and asked for a secret to finding happiness amidst the chaos of the marketplace. The hermit did not give him a mantra or a complex ritual, but instead asked him to go to the village well and watch the water for as long as it took for the ripples to vanish. The merchant went every day, but at first, he found it incredibly boring, his mind demanding that he do something more productive with his time. However, as he sat there in silence, he noticed that the more he moved and shifted his weight, the more the water stayed disturbed, reflecting only a distorted image of the sky. It was only when he became completely still, when he stopped talking to himself and stopped trying to force the water to be calm, that the surface became like a perfect mirror. In that clarity, he saw the reflection of the ancient trees, the passing clouds, and his own face, realizing that the peace he was seeking was already there, hidden just beneath the surface of his own agitation. He returned to the marketplace, but he was a changed person, speaking only when necessary and choosing words that were filled with honesty and kindness rather than greed. His business flourished not because he was louder than his competitors, but because people felt a sense of trust and tranquility in his presence, drawn to the quiet confidence he now possessed. This is the secret of the one who understands the path, the realization that we do not need to fill every silence with noise to prove that we exist or that we are important. When we understand the weight of our words, we become more selective, treating them like precious jewels that are only brought out on special occasions to bring light and joy to others. There are moments when silence is the highest form of integrity, such as when we are tempted to speak ill of someone who is not present to defend themselves. By choosing not to join in the chorus of gossip, we protect the purity of our own minds and create a ripple of respect that can change the atmosphere of an entire room. In the silence of our own meditation, we begin to see that the thoughts that scream the loudest are often the ones that have the least amount of truth in them. They are like clouds that appear dark and threatening, but if we simply watch them without reacting, they eventually dissipate, leaving behind the vast and eternal blue of the sky. The practice of silence is not about suppressing our feelings or hiding our voice, but about finding a deeper voice that speaks from the heart rather than the reactive mind. It is a journey of coming home to ourselves, of rediscovering the stillness that was there before we learned how to speak, the stillness that will remain long after our last word is uttered. Imagine for a moment that you are walking through a beautiful garden at dawn, the dew still fresh on the petals of the flowers and the air cool and crisp. In that moment, you don't feel the need to describe the colors or analyze the scent, you simply allow the beauty to wash over you, becoming one with the peace of the morning. This is the state of mind that the wise encourage us to cultivate in our daily lives, a state where we are fully present but without the constant internal chatter that divides us from reality. When we communicate from this place of inner quiet, our words have a different quality, they carry a weight of sincerity and a fragrance of peace that touches everyone who hears them. We begin to see that silence is not the absence of sound, but the presence of a profound awareness that embraces everything without exception. It is the canvas upon which the music of life is played, the foundation upon which all meaningful relationships are built, and the gateway to a wisdom that transcends the intellect. By embracing silence at the right time, we show a deep respect for the mystery of life, acknowledging that there are things that cannot be captured by language, things that can only be felt in the marrow of our bones. There was once a traveler who came across a village where no one spoke after the sun had set, and at first, he found it very strange and even a bit frightening. He asked the villagers why they followed such a rule, and they explained that during the day, words are for the world, but during the night, silence is for the soul. They believed that by being silent together in the evening, they could hear the whispers of their ancestors, the songs of the stars, and the true needs of their neighbors. In that village, there were very few conflicts, because people had learned to listen with their whole being, picking up on the subtle nuances of emotion that words often mask. They realized that a look of kindness or a shared moment of quiet contemplation was often more powerful than 1,000 promises or apologies. We can bring this spirit into our own lives by carving out small pockets of silence throughout our day, perhaps when we first wake up, or during a quiet walk, or before we go to sleep. In these moments, we let go of the roles we play, the masks we wear, and the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and what we must achieve. We simply rest in the effortless state of being, allowing the dust of the day to settle so that the clarity of our true nature can shine through once again. It is in this stillness that we find the answers to the questions that have been haunting us, not through logical deduction, but through a sudden flash of insight that comes when the mind is finally at rest. Silence is the language of the divine, the medium through which the universe communicates its deepest secrets to those who are willing to listen with an open and humble heart. When we are silent, we stop trying to control the world and instead allow the world to reveal itself to us in all its complexity and wonder. We see the interconnectedness of all things, how every breath we take is a gift from the trees, and how every word we speak has the potential to either heal or harm. This realization naturally leads us to a sense of gratitude and a desire to use our speech only for the benefit of all beings, avoiding the traps of vanity and pride. The wisdom of silence also teaches us how to handle criticism and praise with the same sense of equanimity, knowing that both are as fleeting as the wind. If someone praises us, we can receive it with a silent smile, not letting it inflate our ego, and if someone criticizes us, we can reflect on it in the quiet of our mind without becoming defensive. In both cases, silence acts as a filter, allowing us to extract whatever grain of truth might be there while letting the rest fall away like dry leaves. There is a great freedom in not having to have the last word, in being comfortable with being misunderstood, and in trusting that time will eventually reveal the truth. This is the hallmark of a person who has understood the essence of the teachings, someone who moves through the world like a shadow, leaving no trace of conflict or resentment behind. Their presence is like a cool spring in a desert, a source of refreshment and hope for all those who are tired of the constant clamor of modern life. They do not need to preach or convince, for their very way of being is a testament to the power of a quiet heart and a mind that is at peace with itself. In the tapestry of our lives, silence is the golden thread that holds everything together, giving meaning to our words and depth to our actions. It is the ultimate expression of our trust in the natural order of things, a surrender to the flow of life that carries us toward our highest potential. So, let us learn to cherish the quiet moments, to seek out the stillness that lies beneath the noise, and to honor the sacred space that exists within every one of us. By doing so, we not only transform our own lives, but we also contribute to a more peaceful and harmonious world, one silent breath at a time. The path of the wise is not a path of many words, but a path of deep realization, where the heart becomes so quiet that it can hear the silent music of the universe. Every time we choose silence over an angry retort, or stillness over a restless impulse, we are taking a step toward that inner liberation that is the birthright of every human being. It is a journey that requires patience and practice, but the rewards are beyond anything the material world can offer, for it leads to a peace that surpasses all understanding. In the days of old, A wandering ascetic was once approached by a king who was burdened by the heavy responsibilities of his throne and the constant noise of his court. The king asked the ascetic how he could find a moment of true rest, and the ascetic simply pointed toward the setting sun and remained completely motionless. The king sat beside him, and for the first time in his life, he truly watched the transition from light to dark without planning the next day's affairs or worrying about his enemies. He felt a profound sense of release, realizing that the kingdom he was trying so hard to protect was ultimately just a temporary manifestation of a much larger reality. The silence shared between the king and the ascetic was more restorative than any banquet or palace entertainment, providing a clarity that helped the king rule with more compassion. This reminds us that no matter how busy our lives may be, the opportunity for silence is always available to us, waiting to be discovered in the middle of our most hectic days. It is a matter of turning our attention inward, of making the conscious choice to step back from the mental treadmill and simply be. When we do this, we find that our energy is replenished, our focus is sharpened, and our ability to handle the challenges of life is greatly enhanced. Silence is not a void to be feared, but a fullness to be explored, a rich landscape of awareness that contains everything we have ever been seeking. It is the home we never truly left, the source to which we will all eventually return, and the ground upon which the dance of existence unfolds. As we move forward on our individual journeys, let us carry the light of this understanding with us, using the power of silence to navigate the complexities of the human experience with grace and ease. Let our speech be like a gentle rain that nourishes the parched earth, and let our silence be like the deep sky that holds the sun and the moon in a timeless embrace. There is a unique beauty in the way a single candle can light up a dark room without making a sound, and in the same way, our inner light shines most brightly when we are quiet. We do not need to shout to be heard by the universe, for the universe already knows the intentions of our hearts and the sincerity of our efforts. In the silence, we find the strength to forgive those who have hurt us, the wisdom to let go of our attachments, and the love to see all beings as our own family. It is the ultimate teacher, the ultimate healer, and the ultimate friend, always available, always patient, and always true. So, as the world continues to spin in its endless cycle of gain and loss, let us anchor ourselves in the immovable center of our own quietude. Let us be like the lotus that grows in the mud but remains unstained, its petals opening one by one in the silent light of the sun. In every moment, there is an invitation to enter the temple of silence, to lay down our burdens, and to remember who we truly are beyond all the words and stories. By accepting this invitation, we begin to live a life that is guided by a deeper intelligence, a life that is in harmony with the natural rhythms of the cosmos. We discover that the greatest gifts are often the ones that cannot be seen or touched, but only felt in the profound stillness of a mind that has come to rest. The wisdom of the path is not something to be acquired from books or lectures, but something to be realized through our own direct experience of being quiet. It is a treasure that is hidden in plain sight, accessible to anyone who has the courage to be still and the humility to listen. In the silence, the small self with all its worries and desires begins to fade, and a larger, more inclusive sense of self begins to emerge. We realize that we are not separate from the trees, the stars, or the person sitting next to us, but are all part of a single, magnificent flow of life. This realization brings with it a deep sense of peace and a natural desire to live in a way that honors this fundamental unity. We become more mindful of our impact on the world, choosing actions that are rooted in kindness and speech that is rooted in truth. The practice of silence becomes a way of life, a constant reminder of the sacredness of every moment and the preciousness of every encounter. It is a light that guides us through the darkest nights and a compass that points us toward our true home. In the ancient stories, it is said that even the gods would fall silent when the truth was being spoken, acknowledging that the most powerful teachings are those that resonate in the silence of the soul. When we live from this place of inner quiet, we become a source of inspiration for others, showing them that a different way of being is possible. We show them that they don't have to be slaves to their impulses or prisoners of their own thoughts, but can find a freedom that is independent of external circumstances. This is the greatest service we can offer to the world, the gift of our own peace and the example of our own transformation. So, let us continue to walk this path with sincerity and devotion, knowing that every moment of silence is a moment of awakening. Let us trust in the power of the quiet heart to transform the world, one gentle thought and one kind word at a time. In the grand dance of existence, our silence is just as important as our song, providing the necessary contrast that allows the music to be heard in all its beauty. It is the pauses between the notes that give the melody its shape and its emotional power, just as the silence between our words gives them their meaning and their impact. By honoring both, we live a life that is balanced and whole, a life that is a true reflection of the wisdom and compassion that are at the core of our being. May we all find the courage to be silent when it is right, the wisdom to speak when it is necessary, and the grace to live in harmony with the great silence that holds us all. As we delve deeper into this understanding, we see that silence is also a form of protection, a way to guard our inner garden from the weeds of negativity and the storms of conflict. When we choose not to engage in pointless arguments or to react to every provocation, we conserve our energy for things that truly matter, like cultivating our own growth and helping others. There is a subtle dignity in silence that commands respect without ever asking for it, a magnetic quality that draws people toward the peace we have found. Think of a mother who remains calm and quiet while her child is having a tantrum, her steady presence providing a safe harbor that eventually helps the child find their own balance. In the same way, our quietude can be a stabilizing force for those around us, providing a sense of security and perspective when things get chaotic. The wise ones of the past often sought out the solitude of the mountains or the forests not because they hated the world, but because they understood that they needed the silence to see the world more clearly. In that solitude, they stripped away the layers of social conditioning and personal ambition, arriving at a state of pure awareness that they could then bring back to benefit society. We may not all be able to live in a cave or a forest, but we can all find our own internal mountain, a place of refuge that we can visit at any time, even in the middle of a crowded city. This internal refuge is built through the daily habit of silence, through the conscious decision to value our inner peace above the external noise. It is like building a house with strong foundations and thick walls, a house that can withstand any weather and provide a warm and welcoming space for all who enter. Every time we choose to be quiet instead of complaining, or to listen instead of interrupting, we are adding another brick to this house of wisdom. Over time, this house becomes a sanctuary, not just for ourselves, but for everyone we encounter, a place where people feel safe to be who they are without fear of judgment. The silence of a truly wise person is never cold or indifferent, but is instead infused with a warmth and an openness that is deeply healing. It is a silence that says, "I see you, I hear you, and I am here for you," without the need for a single word to be spoken. This kind of silence is a powerful tool for conflict resolution, as it allows the heat of anger to cool down and creates the space for a more rational and compassionate dialogue to take place. When we are silent, we give the other person the opportunity to truly express themselves, and we give ourselves the opportunity to understand their perspective from a place of empathy. Many problems that seem insurmountable when we are shouting at each other begin to dissolve when we sit together in a shared and respectful quiet. We realize that beneath our different opinions and beliefs, we all share the same basic human desires for love, security, and a sense of belonging. This common ground is more easily found in the silence than in the clamor of debate, for it is in the quiet that our hearts are able to speak to one another directly. The practice of silence also helps us to become more aware of the subtle ways in which we use language to manipulate or control others, often without even realizing it. We start to notice the little exaggerations, the half-truths, and the clever phrasing that we use to make ourselves look better or to get our own way. As we become more honest with ourselves in the quiet, we naturally become more honest in our speech, realizing that the truth does not need to be dressed up or defended. Our words become simpler and more direct, carrying a power that comes from their alignment with our inner reality. This integrity is the foundation of all true authority, the kind of authority that comes from being at peace with oneself and the world. There is a legendary story of a teacher who was asked to give a talk on the most important aspect of the spiritual life, and a large crowd gathered to hear him. He climbed up to the podium, looked out at the audience for several minutes with an expression of immense kindness, and then simply walked away without saying a word. Some people were confused and even angry, but those who were truly listening felt as if they had received the most profound teaching of their lives. They realized that the teacher had demonstrated the very essence of the path, showing them that the truth is not something that can be talked about, but something that must be lived. His silence was a mirror in which they could see their own restless minds and their own longing for a peace that words could never describe. It was a call to look within, to find the source of wisdom that exists in every heart, and to trust in the silent power of their own being. This is the same call that we are all receiving in every moment, if only we have the ears to hear it amidst the distractions of our modern world. We live in an age where silence is often seen as a problem to be solved, a gap to be filled with music, podcasts, or constant social media updates. We have become so accustomed to the background noise that we feel uneasy when it stops, as if the silence might reveal something about ourselves that we are not ready to face. But if we have the courage to stay with that uneasiness, to sit with the silence until it becomes familiar, we find that it is actually a source of great comfort and strength. It is like returning to a dear old friend who knows us better than we know ourselves, a friend who doesn't require us to be anything other than what we are. In this friendship with silence, we find the freedom to let go of the past and the future, and to simply be present in the only moment that ever truly exists. This presence is the key to a life of fulfillment and joy, a life that is lived with intention and awareness rather than on autopilot. When we are present, we notice the small miracles that happen every day, the way the light catches a spider's web, or the sound of a child's laughter, or the simple taste of a piece of bread. These small things become a source of immense gratitude, reminding us of the richness and the beauty of being alive. The wisdom of silence is not a destination that we reach once and for all, but a journey that we undertake every day, a continuous process of refining our awareness and our speech. It is a path that is open to everyone, regardless of their background or their beliefs, for it is rooted in the universal human experience of being aware. As we continue on this path, we find that our lives become more harmonious, our relationships become more meaningful, and our sense of purpose becomes more clear. We start to see the world not as a collection of separate and competing parts, but as a single, living organism of which we are an integral part. This sense of belonging gives us a deep feeling of security and a natural desire to contribute to the well-being of the whole. We realize that by being silent and peaceful ourselves, we are actually helping to heal the world, for our inner state always influences the world around us. Like a stone thrown into a pond, the ripples of our own quietude spread out in all directions, touching the lives of people we may never even meet. This is the quiet revolution of the heart, the transformation of the world through the transformation of our own consciousness. It doesn't require any grand gestures or heroic acts, just the simple and consistent practice of being silent and aware in our daily lives. It is the power of the small and the quiet, the power that eventually overcomes the loud and the aggressive, just as water eventually wears away the hardest rock. So let us embrace the silence, let us listen to the whispers of our own souls, and let us live in a way that reflects the timeless wisdom of the path. In every breath, there is a chance to start again, to choose peace over conflict, and to choose the quiet of the heart over the noise of the world. May we all be blessed with the wisdom to know when to speak and when to remain silent, and may our silence be a source of light and hope for all beings. As we walk together on this journey, let us support each other with our quiet presence and our kind intentions, creating a community of peace that extends far beyond the reach of our words. There is a profound beauty in a group of people sitting together in silence, their hearts beating as one, their minds united in a shared sense of wonder and respect. In that collective quiet, the barriers that usually divide us begin to melt away, and we experience a sense of unity that is truly transformative. We realize that we are all travelers on the same road, all seeking the same ultimate truth, and all deserving of the same love and compassion. This is the promise of the path, the promise of a life that is lived with clarity, wisdom, and a heart that is wide enough to embrace the entire world. Let us cherish the silence that makes this possible, and let us use it as a foundation for everything we do and say. In the silence, we find the strength to be ourselves, the courage to be kind, and the wisdom to be free. It is the ultimate gift, the ultimate teacher, and the ultimate destination, always here, always now, and always waiting for us to return. By being silent at the right time, we are not just avoiding trouble, we are actively participating in the creation of a more mindful and compassionate world. We are showing that we value the quality of our internal life more than the quantity of our external achievements, and that we trust in the power of being over the power of doing. This is the true meaning of wisdom, the ability to see the world as it really is, and to respond with a heart that is both quiet and full of love. Let us continue to explore this mystery, to dive into the depths of our own stillness, and to emerge with a renewed sense of purpose and a deeper connection to all of life. The world may be loud, but our hearts can be quiet, and in that quietude, we find a power that can change everything. It is the power of the silent sun that brings life to the earth, the power of the silent moon that moves the tides, and the power of the silent heart that knows the truth. May you find that power within yourself, may you nurture it with your own practice, and may you share it with the world through your quiet and loving presence. In the end, it is not the words we spoke that will be remembered, but the peace we brought, the kindness we showed, and the silence we shared. This is the legacy of a life lived with wisdom, a life that has found its home in the heart of the eternal silence. As we draw this part of our conversation to a close, let the feeling of this quietude stay with you, like a gentle scent that lingers in the air after the flowers have gone. Allow it to guide your actions and your speech as you move through your day, helping you to remain centered and calm no matter what happens. Remember that the silence is always there, just a breath away, waiting to welcome you back whenever you need to rest. It is the ground of your being, the source of your strength, and the light of your wisdom, always and forever. In every moment of stillness, you are connecting with the very heart of the universe, and in every word of kindness, you are expressing the truth of that connection. So, move forward with confidence and peace, knowing that the silence is your greatest ally and your most faithful friend on the journey of life. There was once a king who was very proud of his golden palace and his vast armies, but he was always plagued by a sense of emptiness and dissatisfaction that he could not explain. He invited many philosophers and teachers to his court, asking them to explain the meaning of life, and they all gave him long and complicated answers that only made him more confused. One day, an old monk arrived at the palace gates, carrying nothing but a small bowl and wearing a simple robe that was worn out in many places. The king, feeling a strange sense of curiosity, allowed the monk to enter and asked him the same question he had asked all the others. The monk did not say anything, but instead, he reached out and took a small piece of fruit from a bowl on the king's table, ate it slowly and mindfully, and then smiled with a radiance that lit up the whole room. The king was taken aback, waiting for a profound explanation, but the monk simply remained silent, his eyes full of a deep and peaceful understanding. Finally, the king realized that the monk was showing him the answer through his very way of being, teaching him that the meaning of life is not found in words or possessions, but in the simple and silent appreciation of the present moment. The king stepped down from his throne, sat on the floor beside the monk, and for the first time in his life, he felt truly wealthy, not because of his gold, but because of the peace he had found in the silence. This story reminds us that the most important lessons are often the ones that are taught without words, the ones that we learn through observation and through the opening of our own hearts. Silence is a powerful form of communication that transcends the limitations of language, allowing us to connect with others on a level that is beyond the reach of the intellect. When we sit in silence with a friend who is suffering, we are communicating a depth of support and understanding that words could never express. When we stand in silence before a beautiful sunset, we are communicating our awe and our gratitude to the universe in the most direct and honest way possible. The practice of silence is also a form of self-respect, a way of saying that our inner peace is too valuable to be traded for the temporary satisfaction of winning an argument or being the center of attention. It is a way of honoring the sacredness of our own minds and protecting ourselves from the corrosive effects of negativity and drama. In the quiet, we find the clarity to see through the illusions of the ego and to recognize our true nature as a part of the infinite and eternal flow of life. This recognition brings with it a sense of liberation and a deep feeling of joy that is not dependent on anything outside of ourselves. We realize that we are already whole, already complete, and that we don't need to do anything or be anyone special to be worthy of love and respect. This realization is the ultimate goal of the path, the point where all the teachings and practices converge in a single, silent moment of awakening. And so, let us continue to cultivate this silence in our own lives, not as an escape from the world, but as a way of engaging with the world more fully and more compassionately. Let us use our silence to heal the wounds of the past, to illuminate the possibilities of the future, and to live with grace and presence in the only moment we truly have. Every time we choose to be quiet, we are making a contribution to the peace of the world, for a world of silent and peaceful individuals is a world that is free from conflict and suffering. May we all find the strength to be still, the wisdom to be silent, and the love to be who we truly are in the heart of the great silence. As the sun sets and the stars begin to appear, let us take a moment to simply be, to let go of all our thoughts and worries, and to rest in the embrace of the quiet night. In this stillness, we can hear the silent song of the universe, a song that has been playing since the beginning of time and will continue to play long after we are gone. It is a song of love, of unity, and of the eternal beauty of existence, and it is a song that we are all invited to join, not with our voices, but with our hearts. So, listen to the silence, for it has much to tell you, and let it lead you home to the peace that you have always been seeking. In the silence, you are not alone, you are one with everything, and in that oneness, you find the true meaning of your life. Let this understanding be your guide, let it be your comfort, and let it be your strength as you continue on your journey through the magnificent dance of life. The path of the wise is a path of quiet joy, a path of deep understanding, and a path of infinite compassion, and it is a path that is open to you in this very moment. Simply be still, be silent, and know that you are loved beyond measure by the very silence that holds you. As we move together through this world, let us be like the stars that shine brightly in the dark night without making a sound, providing a sense of direction and hope for all those who are lost. Let our lives be a silent prayer for the well-being of all beings, and let our hearts be a sanctuary of peace in a world that is often filled with noise. By embracing the wisdom of silence, we become a light unto ourselves and a light for others, showing the way toward a life of true fulfillment and grace. The journey continues, and the silence is always with us, a constant companion that reminds us of our own divinity and the sacredness of all things. May you always find the quiet center within yourself, and may it be a source of endless peace and joy for you and for all those you meet. In every quiet breath, in every silent look, and in every moment of stillness, the truth is revealed in all its simplicity and beauty. Trust in this truth, trust in the silence, and trust in the power of your own awakening heart. The most beautiful flowers are those that bloom in the quiet of the morning, their petals unfolding without a sound to greet the rising sun. In the same way, our own true nature blooms in the quiet of a mind that has found its peace, revealing a beauty that is beyond all description. This is the miracle of the path, the miracle of finding the extraordinary in the ordinary, and the eternal in the temporary. And it all begins with the simple act of being quiet, of choosing to be still, and of listening to the silence with all our heart. So let us continue to practice this art of silence, with patience, with humility, and with a deep sense of gratitude for the gift of life. The silence is calling you, inviting you to come home to yourself, to rest in the peace that is your true home. By honoring this silence, we honor the very essence of our being, and we align ourselves with the natural harmony of the universe. We become a living expression of the wisdom that knows when to speak and when to be still, a wisdom that is the greatest treasure any of us can possess. Let this wisdom guide your steps, let it nourish your soul, and let it bring you to the place where all words fall away and only the truth remains. In the heart of the silence, there is a love that never ends, a peace that never fades, and a joy that is forever new. This is your inheritance, this is your destiny, and it is waiting for you in the quiet moments of your life. So, be silent, be still, and let the truth of who you are shine forth in all its magnificent glory. As we walk this path, we realize that silence is not just a personal practice, but a way of being in relationship with the entire cosmos. It is a form of deep listening that allows us to perceive the subtle rhythms of nature, the shifting of the seasons, and the delicate balance of life on this planet. When we are silent, we are more attuned to the needs of the earth, hearing the silent plea of the forests, the oceans, and all the creatures that share this world with us. This awareness naturally leads to a more sustainable and compassionate way of living, as we realize that our own well-being is inseparable from the well-being of the whole. Our silence becomes an act of solidarity with all life, a silent vow to protect and cherish the beauty and the diversity of our global family. In this way, the wisdom of silence translates into practical action, guiding our choices and our behaviors in a way that promotes harmony and healing. We see that the problems of the world are not just out there, but are also reflected within ourselves, and that by quieting our own inner conflicts, we are contributing to the resolution of the world's conflicts. The peace we find in our own silence is a peace that we can then share with others, creating a ripple effect that can change the consciousness of the entire planet. This is the true power of silence, the power to transform not just ourselves, but the world around us, through the simple and profound act of being aware. Let us commit ourselves to this practice, not for our own sake alone, but for the sake of all beings, and for the sake of the generations to come. May our silence be a testament to our love for life, our respect for truth, and our dedication to the path of wisdom. In every moment, we have the opportunity to choose silence over noise, peace over conflict, and love over fear. Let us make these choices with awareness and with a heart that is full of gratitude for the infinite possibilities of the present moment. The silence is not an end in itself, but a beginning, a gateway to a life that is lived with depth, meaning, and a sense of wonder. It is the foundation upon which we can build a world that is truly worthy of the human spirit, a world of kindness, understanding, and peace. So let us go forward together, in silence and in light, honoring the mystery of life and the sacredness of our own journey. The path is long, but we do not walk it alone, for the silence is always with us, guiding our way and holding us in its gentle embrace. In the silence, we find the courage to face our fears, the strength to overcome our challenges, and the wisdom to know that everything is exactly as it should be. This is the ultimate peace, the peace that comes from a deep and abiding trust in the natural order of things, and it is a peace that is available to all of us in this very moment. Simply breathe, be silent, and know that you are home. In the ancient times, there were many who spent their whole lives in the pursuit of this silence, but the truth is that it is already within us, just waiting to be discovered. It is like a clear mountain lake that is often covered by clouds, but the lake is always there, even when we cannot see it. The practice of silence is simply the process of letting the clouds pass, so that the clear and tranquil water can once again reflect the beauty of the sky. It is a process of letting go, of surrendering our need to be in control, and of allowing life to flow through us without resistance. When we do this, we find that life becomes much easier, as we are no longer fighting against the current, but are instead moving in harmony with the natural rhythms of existence. Our actions become more effortless, our speech becomes more meaningful, and our presence becomes more luminous. This is the grace that comes from a life lived in alignment with the truth of silence, a grace that is both subtle and powerful. It is a grace that can touch the hearts of those around us, even without us saying a single word, for it is a quality of being that is universally recognized and respected. May we all be instruments of this grace, using our silence and our awareness to bring light and peace to a world that is so often in need of it. In the grand story of the universe, our individual lives are like brief flashes of light, but the silence from which we come and to which we return is eternal. By connecting with this silence, we connect with the timeless and the infinite, finding a sense of belonging that transcends the boundaries of space and time. We realize that we are part of something much larger than ourselves, a magnificent and mysterious dance of energy and consciousness that has no beginning and no end. This realization brings a deep sense of humility and a natural desire to live in a way that honors the sacredness of this great mystery. We see every moment as a gift, every person as a brother or sister, and every breath as a chance to celebrate the miracle of being alive. This is the wisdom of the path, the wisdom of the quiet heart, and it is the greatest treasure we can ever hope to find. So let us continue to walk this path with sincerity, with joy, and with a heart that is full of the silent music of the soul. May the peace of the silence be with you always, guiding your steps and illuminating your way, now and forever. In the silence, all questions are answered, not with more words, but with a sense of profound and abiding peace. This is the ultimate answer, the answer that settles the mind and opens the heart to the true beauty of existence. May you always live in this peace, and may it be a light for you and for all beings. The journey of the soul is a journey into the heart of silence, where we rediscover our true nature as a part of the divine and eternal whole. In this discovery, we find the freedom to be who we truly are, without any masks or pretenses, and to live a life that is a true reflection of our highest potential. This is the promise of the path, and it is a promise that is being fulfilled in every moment that we choose to be silent and aware. So, move forward with a quiet heart and a peaceful mind, knowing that you are on the right path and that the silence is always there to support and guide you. Every step you take in silence is a step toward your own liberation and toward the healing of the world. Trust in the process, trust in the silence, and trust in the power of your own awakening. May the light of wisdom shine in your heart, and may the peace of silence be your constant companion. As we continue this journey of understanding, it is worth reflecting on how our silence can also be a form of creative expression, a way of bringing something new and beautiful into the world. Just as a painter uses the empty space on a canvas to create a masterpiece, we can use the silence in our own lives to create a life of meaning and purpose. Our silence allows our inner creativity to flourish, providing the space for new ideas and inspirations to emerge from the depths of our consciousness. When we are quiet, we are more able to hear the subtle whispers of our own intuition, the inner voice that guides us toward our true calling and our unique contribution to the world. This creative silence is not a passive state, but an active and dynamic process of exploration and discovery, as we learn to express the truths we find in our stillness through our actions and our words. Every act of kindness, every word of truth, and every gesture of compassion is a creative expression of the peace we have found in our silence. By living in this way, we become artists of the soul, using the medium of our own lives to manifest the beauty and the wisdom of the path. This is the ultimate form of creativity, the creation of a life that is in harmony with the natural laws of the universe and that brings joy and inspiration to others. So let us embrace this creative potential of silence, and let us use it to transform our lives and the world around us. In the silence, we find the courage to be different, the strength to follow our own path, and the wisdom to know that our true value lies in our being, not in our doing. This realization frees us from the pressure to conform and to achieve, and allows us to live a life that is authentic and true to our own heart. We discover that the most important thing we can do is to be fully present and fully aware in every moment, and to respond to life with a heart that is open and a mind that is quiet. This simple and profound way of living is the key to a life of true fulfillment and peace, and it is a path that is open to all of us. May we all have the courage to walk this path, and may our silence be a source of endless creativity and joy for ourselves and for all beings. In the end, it is the silence that will remain, the eternal and unchanging ground from which all things arise and to which all things return. By finding our home in this silence, we find a peace that can never be taken away, a peace that is beyond all understanding and all words. This is the ultimate goal, the ultimate truth, and the ultimate love, and it is waiting for you in the heart of your own silence. Simply be quiet, be still, and let the silence tell you everything you need to know. In every quiet moment, there is a chance to reconnect with this profound truth, and to remember the beauty and the sacredness of your own life. Trust in this silence, for it is your truest friend and your most faithful guide on the journey of life. As the stars continue to shine in the dark night sky, let their silent light remind you of your own inner light, and of the infinite possibilities that exist within you. You are a part of the grand and mysterious dance of the universe, and your silence is just as important as your song. Honoring both, you live a life that is balanced and whole, a life that is a true reflection of the wisdom and the compassion that are at your core. May the peace of the silence be with you always, and may it bring you to the place where all questions are answered and only the truth remains. In the heart of the silence, you are home, and in that home, you find everything you have ever been seeking. Simply breathe, be quiet, and know that you are at peace. As we look toward the future, let us carry the wisdom of silence with us, using it as a compass to navigate the uncertainties and the challenges that lie ahead. The world will always be changing, but the silence within us is constant and unchanging, a source of stability and strength in a shifting world. By anchoring ourselves in this inner stillness, we can move through life with a sense of equanimity and grace, regardless of the external circumstances. We become more resilient, more compassionate, and more able to respond to the needs of the moment with clarity and wisdom. Our silence becomes a light that guides us through the darkness, and a shield that protects us from the storms of life. It is the greatest gift we can give to ourselves, and the greatest service we can offer to the world. So let us continue to practice the art of silence, with dedication and with love, knowing that every moment of quietude is a moment of awakening. May your path be blessed with peace and with wisdom, and may your silence be a source of light and hope for all beings. In the end, it is the silence that speaks the most profound truths, and it is the quiet heart that hears the music of the soul. Trust in your silence, and let it lead you to the peace that is your true nature. May you always find the quiet center within yourself, and may it be a source of endless joy and fulfillment for you and for the entire world. In the heart of the silence, there is no separation, only the unity of all life and the infinite beauty of the eternal now. Be still, be silent, and know that you are one with the universe, and that all is well. As we conclude this part of our sharing, let the silence settle in your heart like a calm and peaceful lake, reflecting the beauty of the world around you and the depth of the wisdom within you. Move forward with the gentle confidence that comes from knowing who you truly are, beyond all the noise and the distractions of the world. The silence is your home, and you are always welcome there. May your life be a testament to the power of a quiet heart, and may your silence be a blessing for all beings. In every breath, there is a possibility for peace, and in every silent moment, there is a chance for awakening. Embrace the silence, honor the truth, and live with a heart that is full of love and compassion for all. This is the path of wisdom, the path of the soul, and the path of the ultimate silence. May you walk it with grace and with joy, now and forever. In the ancient tradition of the seekers of truth, it is said that the most profound teachings are those that leave us speechless, for they touch a part of us that is beyond the reach of language. When we encounter such a truth, our mind becomes naturally quiet, and we experience a sense of awe and reverence for the mystery of existence. This silence is not a void, but a state of heightened awareness, where we are fully present to the beauty and the complexity of the world. It is a silence that is filled with meaning, a silence that speaks to the very essence of our being. By cultivating this kind of silence in our own lives, we become more receptive to the deeper truths that are always available to us, if only we are quiet enough to hear them. We start to see the world with new eyes, perceiving the interconnectedness of all things and the sacredness of every moment. Our silence becomes a way of honoring this sacredness, a way of showing our respect for the miracle of life in all its forms. It is a silent prayer of gratitude, a silent vow of compassion, and a silent celebration of the infinite possibilities of the soul. May we all be blessed with this deep and meaningful silence, and may it lead us to a life of true wisdom and grace. In the quiet of our own hearts, we find the strength to be kind, the courage to be true, and the love to be who we are meant to be. This is the promise of the silence, and it is a promise that is being fulfilled in every moment that we choose to be still and aware. So, move forward in peace and in light, knowing that the silence is always with you, guiding your way and holding you in its gentle and eternal embrace. Every quiet step you take is a contribution to the peace of the world, and every silent thought you have is a ripple of love that can touch the hearts of many. Trust in the power of your own silence, and let it be a source of healing and hope for yourself and for all beings. In the end, it is the silence that will lead us home, back to the source of all things, and to the peace that has no end. May you always live in that peace, and may your heart be a sanctuary of silence in a world of noise. Be still, be silent, and know that you are truly blessed. The echoes of that ancient stillness linger in the air like the scent of sandalwood after the flame has gone out, reminding us that every word we choose to withhold is a gift of space to the universe. There was once a quiet traveler who walked through many lands, carrying nothing but a small lantern that he only lit when the path became truly treacherous. People often stopped him to ask for his story, for his opinion on the wars of kings, or for his advice on how to accumulate wealth, yet he would often respond with a gentle bow and a moment of shared quiet. One day, a restless scholar challenged him, asking why he wasted his life in such persistent silence when he could be sharing his knowledge to gain fame and influence. The traveler pointed to a nearby pond where a single lotus was beginning to open its petals in the soft light of the dawn, asking the scholar if the flower needed to shout to attract the bee. He explained that when the heart is truly ready, it becomes like that lotus, radiating a silent fragrance of peace that draws others toward it without the need for a single persuasive word. The scholar realized then that his own life had been spent building walls of words, walls that kept him safe from others but also kept him from truly touching the essence of anything. In that shared silence by the pond, the scholar felt the weight of his own intellectual pride begin to dissolve, replaced by a simple, wordless appreciation for the coolness of the air and the grace of the blooming flower. We often think that by speaking, we are adding value to the world, yet so much of our daily talk is merely a way to fill the emptiness that we are afraid to face within ourselves. True wisdom is like the deep earth that holds the roots of all trees, providing nourishment and stability without ever needing to announce its presence. When we are at a gathering and someone speaks harshly or with a sense of hidden envy, our instinct is often to sharpen our own tongue in response, to prove that we are just as clever or just as powerful. However, the one who understands the flow of the path knows that silence in that moment is like a cool rain on a brush fire, preventing the flames of anger from spreading to our own soul. By choosing not to react, we are not losing a battle, rather, we are reclaiming our own internal territory from the chaos of external provocation. This silent resilience is a form of spiritual dignity that cannot be bought or taught through books. It is earned through the patient observation of our own impulses in the heat of the moment. Think of the way a master weaver works, how the beauty of the pattern depends just as much on the spaces between the threads as it does on the threads themselves. Our lives are that tapestry, and when we cram every second with noise, with opinions, or with the constant need to explain ourselves, we lose the clarity of the design that our soul is trying to create. There is a legendary account of a village where the elders would meet once a month to sit in a circle for hours without saying anything at all, simply looking at the fire in the center. Visitors found this practice baffling, but the villagers explained that during those silent hours, the grievances of the month would naturally evaporate, leaving only the reality of their shared existence. They found that after the silence, they knew exactly what needed to be done for the community, for their hearts had become synchronized in a way that language could never achieve. When we bring this quality of presence into our modern lives, we begin to notice that we can hear the needs of our friends and family far more clearly, picking up on the tone of a voice or the weariness in a gesture. We stop listening for what we want to hear and start listening for what is actually being said in the spaces between the sentences. In the days when the great teachers moved through the world, there was a king who was famous for his justice, but he felt that his mind was becoming a prison of laws and regulations. He sought out a forest dweller who was said to possess the key to a quiet mind, and the dweller told him to go and live as a shepherd for a single season. At first, the king was frustrated by this simple task, wanting to discuss philosophy and the nature of the divine, but the forest dweller insisted that he speak only to the sheep and the wind. As the weeks passed, the king found that he no longer needed the grand titles or the elaborate rituals to feel significant, for the mountains did not care about his crown and the stars did not bow to his authority. He discovered a vast, internal landscape that was far more magnificent than any kingdom he had ever ruled, a place where the concepts of right and wrong were replaced by a profound sense of isness. When he returned to his palace, his subjects noticed that his judgments were no longer based on the letter of the law but on a deep, intuitive understanding of the human heart. He had learned that the most effective way to lead was to listen more than he spoke, and to speak only when his words could serve as a bridge between hearts rather than a wall between minds. This is the quiet authority that we all have access to, a strength that arises when we stop trying to push our will onto the world and instead allow the world to reveal its own natural order to us. We spend so much energy defending our identity, our reputation, and our beliefs, yet in the silence, we realize that these things are as fleeting as the shadows cast by a passing cloud. When we let go of the need to be someone in the eyes of others, we find the freedom to be everything in the heart of the moment. There is a subtle humor in the realization that the more we try to define ourselves with words, the more we limit the infinite potential of what we truly are. In the silence of a deep meditation or a quiet walk, the boundaries of the self begin to soften, and we feel the pulse of the universe beating in our own chest. We realize that the bird's song is our song, the rustle of the leaves is our breath, and the vastness of the sky is our own mind. This is not a theoretical understanding but a direct, visceral experience of the interconnectedness of all things, an experience that leaves us with a sense of profound peace and a natural desire to be kind. We no longer need to be told to love our neighbor, for we realize that our neighbor is simply another expression of the same life that flows through us. The silence then becomes a sanctuary where this love can grow, undisturbed by the weeds of comparison and the thorns of competition. In the ancient stories of the sea, sailors would often talk about a point in the ocean where the water becomes so still that it reflects the stars even during the day. To reach this point, they had to navigate through many storms and through the siren calls of the shallow waters, staying true to their compass and their purpose. Our spiritual journey is much like that voyage, where the noise of our desires and the clamor of our fears are the storms that threaten to blow us off course. The practice of noble silence is the compass that keeps us moving toward that deep, still center where the light of truth is always visible. It is not a path of avoidance, but a path of deep engagement, where we meet every experience with a quiet and open mind, allowing it to teach us without our interference. If we are faced with a loss, we sit with the silence of that loss, not trying to rush through the grief or to find a quick explanation that makes it feel better. In that patient stillness, the grief itself becomes a teacher, revealing the depth of our capacity to love and the preciousness of every passing moment. If we are faced with a great success, we meet it with a silent gratitude, not letting the praise inflate our ego or distract us from the simple reality of our being. In both situations, the silence acts as a balancer, helping us to stay grounded and centered in the midst of the changing tides of life. There was a potter who worked in a village at the edge of a great desert, and his vessels were known for their perfect balance and their hauntingly beautiful shape. When asked for his secret, he said that he did not focus on the clay, but rather on the empty space inside the vessel, for it was the emptiness that gave the pot its purpose. He spent his mornings in total silence, looking at the desert and feeling the vastness of the empty air, and then he would bring that sense of space to his wheel. He believed that every word spoken while working would leave a tiny crack in the spirit of the clay, and so he worked with a quiet heart and a steady hand. His pots were not just containers for water or grain, they were containers for the silence of the desert, and those who used them felt a strange sense of calm every time they touched them. This reminds us that the quality of everything we create, whether it is a meal, a piece of art, or a simple conversation, is determined by the quality of the silence we bring to it. When we move through our day with a frantic mind and a restless tongue, we leave behind a trail of agitation and confusion that affects everyone we meet. But when we move with a quiet heart, we leave behind a fragrance of peace that can nourish the parched souls of those who are struggling. We do not need to be famous or powerful to have a profound impact on the world, we only need to be present and to be quiet. The silence is the most powerful tool for transformation that we possess, for it works from the inside out, changing our perception before it changes our circumstances. It allows us to see the beauty in the mundane, the grace in the difficult, and the sacred in the ordinary. We begin to realize that the divine is not something far away in a distant heaven, but is the very ground upon which we walk and the very air that we breathe. In the quiet, the voice of the divine is not a loud command but a gentle whisper that can only be heard when the mind is at rest. It is a voice that tells us that we are enough, that we are loved, and that we have a place in the magnificent tapestry of life. This realization is the ultimate cure for the loneliness and the isolation that so many of us feel in the modern world. We see that we are never truly alone, for we are always held in the embrace of the great silence that is the source of all things. The practice of silence is also a practice of deep listening to our own bodies, hearing the subtle messages they send us about our health and our well-being. We notice the tension in our shoulders, the tightness in our chest, and the rhythm of our breath, and we respond with kindness and care rather than with judgment or frustration. We learn to eat when we are hungry and to rest when we are tired, honoring the natural wisdom of the physical vessel that carries us through this life. This mindfulness leads to a sense of harmony between the mind and the body, a state where our energy flows freely and our vitality is restored. In the silence, we also find the clarity to let go of the grudges and the resentments that we have been carrying, often for years. We see that by holding on to anger, we are only hurting ourselves, like someone who drinks poison and expects the other person to suffer. The silence allows us to see the humanity in those who have wronged us, recognizing that they too are caught in the web of their own conditioning and their own pain. From this place of understanding, forgiveness becomes a natural and effortless act, a release that frees us to move forward with a light heart. There was once a garden that was famous for its rare and beautiful plants, but the gardener was always worried about the birds that came to eat the seeds. He built many scarecrows and made loud noises to drive them away, but the garden only became more stressed and the plants began to wither. One day, he decided to simply sit in the middle of the garden and remain silent, watching the birds without trying to interfere. He noticed that the birds also ate the insects that were harming the plants, and that their songs brought a sense of joy and vitality to the space. By being quiet and observing the natural balance, he realized that he didn't need to fight against the environment, but rather to work with it. The garden flourished as never before, not because of his efforts to control it, but because of his willingness to listen to its own inherent wisdom. Our lives are like that garden, and when we try to force things to be a certain way, we often create more problems than we solve. The silence teaches us the art of non-interference, the wisdom of allowing things to unfold in their own time and in their own way. This is not a state of passivity but a state of high-level awareness, where we act with precision and grace only when the moment is truly right. We learn to trust in the intelligence of life, knowing that the same power that guides the stars and the seasons is also guiding us. This trust brings a profound sense of relaxation, as we no longer feel the need to carry the weight of the entire world on our shoulders. We realize that we are just a small part of a much larger process, and that our only job is to be true to ourselves and to play our part with sincerity and love. The silence is the medium through which this trust is cultivated, providing a stable foundation for a life of faith and devotion. In the quiet, we find the courage to face our own mortality, recognizing that the body is just a temporary home for the eternal spirit. We see that death is not something to be feared, but is simply a transition, like the falling of a leaf in autumn or the setting of the sun at the end of a long day. This perspective allows us to live with more intensity and more gratitude, making the most of every precious moment we have in this form. We stop wasting our time on trivialities and start focusing on the things that truly matter, like the quality of our relationships and the depth of our inner peace. The wisdom of silence is a light that never goes out, a source of warmth and guidance that is always available to us, no matter how dark the night may be. It is a path that leads us back to the heart of what it means to be human, to the place of compassion, of wisdom, and of true freedom. As we continue to walk this path together, let us be mindful of the energy we bring into every interaction, choosing silence over noise and peace over conflict. Let us be like the mountains that stand tall and quiet in the face of the changing seasons, providing a sense of permanence and strength for all who behold them. Let our silence be a gift to the world, a space where others can find their own quiet center and their own inner light. In every silent breath, there is a possibility for a new beginning, a chance to let go of the old and to embrace the new with an open and humble heart. The journey of silence is the journey of the soul returning to its source, a journey that is filled with beauty, with wonder, and with infinite peace. May you always find the strength to be still, the wisdom to be quiet, and the love to be who you truly are in the heart of the great silence. In the days of old, there was a traveler who was caught in a heavy fog on a mountain pass, and he could not see more than a few feet in front of him. He was tempted to shout for help or to rush blindly forward, but he remembered the advice of a wise elder who told him that in the fog, the only safe thing to do is to sit down and wait for the sun. He sat in the silence of the mountain, listening to the muffled sounds of the wind and the distant cry of an eagle, feeling the coolness of the mist on his skin. As he sat there, his initial fear began to transform into a sense of deep calm, as he realized that he was being forced to slow down and to simply be present. When the sun finally broke through the clouds and the fog began to lift, he saw that he had been sitting on the edge of a beautiful meadow filled with wildflowers that he would have missed if he had been rushing. The path forward was clear and bright, and he walked with a new sense of appreciation for the beauty of the mountain and the power of the silence. This story reminds us that when we are lost in the fog of our own confusion or uncertainty, the best thing we can do is to be quiet and to wait for the inner sun to shine through. Our efforts to force a solution often only lead to more frustration, while our willingness to sit in the silence allows the clarity to arise naturally. The silence is like a clear mirror that shows us the truth of our situation without the distortion of our hopes and fears. It helps us to see the path that is truly right for us, the path that is in alignment with our highest values and our deepest purpose. This is the wisdom of the one who understands that silence is not just a lack of sound, but is a powerful and creative force in its own right. It is the foundation of all true understanding and the gateway to a life of peace and fulfillment. Let us continue to explore this mystery, to dive deeper into the silence of our own hearts, and to discover the treasures that are hidden there. The world needs our quietude more than it needs our noise, and our peaceful presence is the greatest gift we can offer to our fellow travelers. May your journey be filled with the light of the silence and the joy of the soul, and may you find the peace that you have always been seeking in the heart of your own quiet being. In every moment, there is an invitation to enter the temple of silence, to lay down our burdens and to remember the sacredness of our own life. By accepting this invitation, we begin to live a life that is truly meaningful, a life that is a source of inspiration and hope for all who cross our path. The silence is always there, waiting for us to return, like a mother waiting for her child with open arms and a heart full of love. So let us go home to the silence, let us rest in the stillness, and let us be at peace with ourselves and the world. The journey continues, and the silence is our constant companion, guiding us with its quiet wisdom and holding us in its eternal embrace. In the heart of the silence, we find the answer to every question, the cure for every wound, and the fulfillment of every desire. It is the ultimate destination, and the ultimate beginning, now and forever. The path of the wise is a path of silence, of compassion, and of profound understanding, and it is a path that is open to each and every one of us. Simply be still, be quiet, and let the light of the silence show you the way. As we move forward, let us remember that silence is also a form of humility, an acknowledgement that we do not have all the answers and that we are willing to learn from the world around us. When we are always talking, we are projecting our own limited ideas onto reality, but when we are silent, we are allowing reality to speak to us in its own vast and complex language. This humility is the key to true learning and to a deep sense of connection with the mystery of life. It allows us to approach every situation with a beginner's mind, a mind that is open, curious, and free from the burden of past knowledge. In this state of openness, we find that even the simplest things can become a source of profound insight and wonder. A falling leaf, a ripple on a pond, the look in a child's eyes, all these things are carrying a message of truth for those who are quiet enough to receive it. The wisdom of silence is the wisdom of the open heart, the heart that is willing to be touched and transformed by the beauty of the world. It is a path that leads to a life of great depth and richness, a life that is lived with a sense of reverence and awe for the miracle of existence. May we all be blessed with the grace to be silent, and may our silence be a source of wisdom and peace for ourselves and for the world. As the journey unfolds, let the quietude of your spirit be your most precious possession, a treasure that you carry with you wherever you go. It is a light that will never fail you, a voice that will never lead you astray, and a presence that will never leave you. Trust in the power of the silence, for it is the very heart of the path and the ultimate source of all truth. In the end, it is not what we said or what we did that will matter most, but how much we loved and how deeply we were able to rest in the peace of the silence. This is the measure of a life well lived, and it is a goal that is within the reach of every one of us, here and now. So breathe in the silence, breathe out the noise, and live your life with the quiet dignity and the gentle grace of a soul that has found its true home. The world is waiting for your quietude, and your heart is ready for the peace that only silence can bring. May the great silence hold you always in its loving and eternal embrace, and may you find the joy and the fulfillment that you truly deserve. The journey of silence is the journey of homecoming, and you are already there, in the quiet center of your own being. Simply be, and know that all is well. As we move through the days and nights of our lives, let the silence be the foundation upon which we build everything else. Let it be the space where we find our inspiration, the refuge where we find our strength, and the mirror where we find our truth. In the silence, we realize that there is no need to hurry, no need to worry, and no need to be anything other than what we are in this moment. We find the freedom to let go of our expectations and to simply accept life as it is, with all its joys and its sorrows, its successes and its failures. This acceptance is the ultimate form of peace, and it is a peace that is only found in the heart of the silence. So let us continue to walk this path together, with a quiet heart and a peaceful mind, honoring the sacredness of the silence and the beauty of the journey. May the light of the silence shine in your heart, and may the joy of the soul be yours always. The path of the wise is a path of quiet wonder and deep gratitude, and it is a path that is open to all who are willing to listen to the silence. Simply be quiet, be still, and let the peace of the silence fill your life with its infinite grace. In every moment, there is a chance to start again, to choose the quiet of the heart over the noise of the world, and to live a life that is truly meaningful and true. The journey continues, and the silence is always with us, a faithful friend and a wise teacher that will never leave us. Trust in the silence, and let it lead you to the peace that you have always been seeking. In the heart of the silence, you are home, and in that home, you find everything you have ever been seeking. Simply breathe, be quiet, and know that you are at peace. As we look toward the future, let us carry the wisdom of silence with us, using it as a compass to navigate the uncertainties and the challenges that lie ahead. The world will always be changing, but the silence within us is constant and unchanging, a source of stability and strength in a shifting world. By anchoring ourselves in this inner stillness, we can move through life with a sense of equanimity and grace, regardless of the external circumstances. We become more resilient, more compassionate, and more able to respond to the needs of the moment with clarity and wisdom. Our silence becomes a light that guides us through the darkness, and a shield that protects us from the storms of life. It is the greatest gift we can give to ourselves, and the greatest service we can offer to the world. So let us continue to practice the art of silence, with dedication and with love, knowing that every moment of quietude is a moment of awakening. May your path be blessed with peace and with wisdom, and may your silence be a source of light and hope for all beings. In the end, it is the silence that speaks the most profound truths, and it is the quiet heart that hears the music of the soul. Trust in your silence, and let it lead you to the peace that is your true nature. May you always find the quiet center within yourself, and may it be a source of endless joy and fulfillment for you and for the entire world. In the heart of the silence, there is no separation, only the unity of all life and the infinite beauty of the eternal now. Be still, be silent, and know that you are one with the universe, and that all is well. As we conclude this part of our sharing, let the silence settle in your heart like a calm and peaceful lake, reflecting the beauty of the world around you and the depth of the wisdom within you. Move forward with the gentle confidence that comes from knowing who you truly are, beyond all the noise and the distractions of the world. The silence is your home, and you are always welcome there. May your life be a testament to the power of a quiet heart, and may your silence be a blessing for all beings. In every breath, there is a possibility for peace, and in every silent moment, there is a chance for awakening. Embrace the silence, honor the truth, and live with a heart that is full of love and compassion for all. This is the path of wisdom, the path of the soul, and the path of the ultimate silence. May you walk it with grace and with joy, now and forever. In the silence of the evening, as the shadows lengthen and the world prepares for sleep, let us take a moment to reflect on the beauty of our own existence. We are each a unique expression of the same infinite life, a single wave in the vast ocean of consciousness. Our silence is the quiet depth of that ocean, the place where the surface storms can never reach. By dwelling in that depth, we find the true meaning of our life, and the true purpose of our journey. May you always find your way back to that depth, and may the silence be your constant guide and your most faithful friend. As you close your eyes tonight, let the silence be your blanket, and the peace be your pillow. Know that you are safe, that you are loved, and that you are exactly where you are meant to be. The journey continues in the morning, but for now, there is only the silence, and the peace of the night. Sweet dreams, dear friend, and may you wake with a heart that is full of the silent music of the soul. In the heart of the silence, we are all one, and in that oneness, we find our true home. Be quiet, be still, and let the peace of the silence lead you to the light. As the journey of our life unfolds, we begin to see that silence is not just something we do, but something we become. It is the very essence of our being, the quiet space that holds all our thoughts, our feelings, and our experiences. When we identify with this space rather than with the contents of the space, we find a freedom that is beyond anything the world can offer. We realize that we are the sky, not the clouds, and that our true nature is vast, open, and eternal. This realization is the ultimate goal of the path, and it is a realization that is only found in the heart of the silence. So let us continue to dwell in this space, let us continue to explore the depths of our own stillness, and let us continue to live from the truth of who we really are. May the peace of the silence be with you always, and may it bring you to the place of ultimate awakening and infinite love. The silence is calling you, inviting you to remember your true home, and to live in the light of the eternal now. Simply be quiet, be still, and know that you are at peace. In every moment, there is a chance to start again, to choose the quiet of the heart over the noise of the world, and to live a life that is truly meaningful and true. The journey continues, and the silence is always with us, a faithful friend and a wise teacher that will never leave us. Trust in the silence, and let it lead you to the peace that you have always been seeking. In the heart of the silence, you are home, and in that home, you find everything you have ever been seeking. Simply breathe, be quiet, and know that you are at peace. As we look toward the future, let us carry the wisdom of silence with us, using it as a compass to navigate the uncertainties and the challenges that lie ahead. The world will always be changing, but the silence within us is constant and unchanging, a source of stability and strength in a shifting world. By anchoring ourselves in this inner stillness, we can move through life with a sense of equanimity and grace, regardless of the external circumstances. We become more resilient, more compassionate, and more able to respond to the needs of the moment with clarity and wisdom. Our silence becomes a light that guides us through the darkness, and a shield that protects us from the storms of life. It is the greatest gift we can give to ourselves, and the greatest service we can offer to the world. So let us continue to practice the art of silence, with dedication and with love, knowing that every moment of quietude is a moment of awakening. May your path be blessed with peace and with wisdom, and may your silence be a source of light and hope for all beings. In the end, it is the silence that speaks the most profound truths, and it is the quiet heart that hears the music of the soul. Trust in your silence, and let it lead you to the peace that is your true nature. May you always find the quiet center within yourself, and may it be a source of endless joy and fulfillment for you and for the entire world. In the heart of the silence, there is no separation, only the unity of all life and the infinite beauty of the eternal now. Be still, be silent, and know that you are one with the universe, and that all is well. As we conclude this part of our sharing, let the silence settle in your heart like a calm and peaceful lake, reflecting the beauty of the world around you and the depth of the wisdom within you. Move forward with the gentle confidence that comes from knowing who you truly are, beyond all the noise and the distractions of the world. The silence is your home, and you are always welcome there. May your life be a testament to the power of a quiet heart, and may your silence be a blessing for all beings. In every breath, there is a possibility for peace, and in every silent moment, there is a chance for awakening. Embrace the silence, honor the truth, and live with a heart that is full of love and compassion for all. This is the path of wisdom, the path of the soul, and the path of the ultimate silence. May you walk it with grace and with joy, now and forever. In the silence of the night, as the world sleeps and the stars watch over us, let us find our rest in the eternal peace of the soul. We are never alone, for the silence is always with us, a faithful companion that knows our every thought and our every desire. Trust in the silence, and let it bring you to the peace that you have always been seeking. The journey continues, but for now, there is only the silence, and the peace of the night. Sweet dreams, and may you wake with a heart that is full of the silent music of the soul. In the heart of the silence, we are all one, and in that oneness, we find our true home. Be quiet, be still, and let the peace of the silence lead you to the light. As the journey of our life unfolds, we realize that silence is not just a destination, but the very path itself. It is the way we walk, the way we breathe, and the way we interact with the world. By living in silence, we are living in the truth of who we really are, and we are expressing the wisdom of the path in every moment. May your life be a beautiful expression of this wisdom, and may your silence be a source of peace and joy for all beings. The journey continues, and the silence is always with us, a constant reminder of the sacredness of our own journey. May you always walk in the light of the silence, and may your heart be a sanctuary of peace in a world of noise. Be still, be silent, and know that you are truly blessed. As the sun climbs higher in the sky of our awareness, we begin to see that silence is not merely a destination we reach on a quiet mountain, but a vibrant thread that we must weave into the very fabric of our active lives. There is a profound difference between a silence that is empty because it has nothing to say, and a silence that is full because it understands that words would only diminish the magnitude of the truth. In the ancient records of a forgotten kingdom, there was a master gardener who was famous for creating landscapes that seemed to breathe with the rhythm of the universe. He was once asked by a young apprentice why he spent so much time just sitting on a simple wooden bench, staring at the empty spaces between the trees rather than pruning the branches or planting new seeds. The master smiled and explained that the beauty of the garden did not lie in the plants themselves, but in the relationship between the visible and the invisible, the sound and the silence. He said that a garden without space is just a thicket, and a life without silence is just a crowded room where the soul can find no place to rest its weary head. By honoring the empty spaces, he allowed the light to reach the lower leaves and the wind to carry the scent of the blossoms to every corner of the land. This is the secret of a balanced life, the realization that our productivity and our actions are only as meaningful as the stillness from which they arise. If we are always doing, always moving, and always talking, we become like a shallow stream that evaporates in the heat of the first challenge. But if we anchor ourselves in the deep silence of our own being, we become like a vast ocean that can absorb any storm without losing its fundamental tranquility. Think of a musician who understands that the most powerful part of a symphony is often the pause, that fraction of a second when the instruments fall silent and the audience holds its collective breath. In that silence, the music is not gone, it is echoing in the hearts of the listeners, transforming their emotions and expanding their perception of what is possible. Our lives are that symphony, and we must learn to trust the pauses, to embrace the moments when nothing seems to be happening on the surface. These are the moments of integration, the moments when our experiences are being digested and our wisdom is being formed. We often feel a sense of guilt when we are not busy, as if our value is determined by the length of our to-do list or the speed of our speech. Yet, the most significant shifts in our character often happen in the quiet intervals when we are simply observing the world without trying to change it. There was a story of a great scholar who traveled across the seas to meet a hermit living on a remote island, carrying with him 1,000 books and a mind full of complex theories. He spent the first week lecturing the hermit on the nature of reality, the structure of the heavens, and the path to enlightenment. The hermit listened patiently, serving the scholar tea and nodding with a gentle smile, but he never offered a single word of his own. On the 8th day, as the scholar was about to leave, he realized with a sudden shock that he had learned more from the hermit's silence than from all the books he had ever read. In that week of quiet companionship, the scholar's own intellectual noise had begun to settle, allowing him to feel the warmth of the sun, the salt in the air, and the simple joy of being alive. He saw that the hermit was not lacking in knowledge, but was possessing a wisdom that had transcended the need for explanation. The hermit's presence was a living embodiment of the truth, a silent testament to the fact that peace is not something we talk about, but something we are. This is the invitation that the path offers to each of us, to stop being a collector of information and to start being a vessel of awareness. When we communicate from this place of inner quiet, our words carry a weight and a sincerity that can cut through the most complex confusion. We find that we don't need to use many words to express our love, our gratitude, or our concern, for the quality of our presence says it all. A simple look of understanding, a quiet nod of encouragement, or a shared moment of silence can do more to heal a relationship than an hour of heated debate. The silence is the ground of all true intimacy, the place where two souls can meet without the interference of their egos or their masks. It is a sanctuary where we can be ourselves, with all our flaws and our vulnerabilities, knowing that we are accepted and loved for who we truly are. In the ancient times, there were healers who were said to be able to cure a person's spirit simply by sitting in silence with them for a night. They did not use herbs or incantations, they simply offered a space of total presence and absolute stillness. In that space, the patient's own inner healing mechanisms were activated, as the noise of their fear and their pain was allowed to dissolve into the vast ocean of the healer's quietude. We all have this healing power within us, and we can use it every day to support the people in our lives who are struggling. Instead of offering quick advice or trying to fix their problems, we can offer them our silence, our listening, and our unconditional presence. This is the highest form of compassion, the willingness to stay with another person in their darkness without trying to turn on a light before they are ready. The silence teaches us the art of waiting, the wisdom of knowing that everything has its own season and its own time. We see this in the way the moon doesn't rush to become full, but passes through its phases with a quiet and steady grace. We can apply this to our own growth, understanding that we cannot force ourselves to be enlightened or to be perfectly peaceful overnight. It is a gradual process of shedding the old and welcoming the new, a journey that requires patience, humility, and a deep respect for the mystery of life. Every time we choose silence over a reactive word, we are taking a small but significant step on this journey. We are training our minds to be less impulsive and more reflective, less judgmental and more curious. There was once a community of artisans who lived in a high mountain valley, and they were known for producing the finest silk in the world. The secret, they said, was not in the worms or the mulberry leaves, but in the silence of the weaving room. They believed that any loud noise or harsh emotion would disturb the delicate patterns of the silk, making it brittle and dull. And so, they worked in a state of shared quiet, their hands moving in a rhythmic dance that was perfectly synchronized with their breath. The silk they produced was so soft and so luminous that it was said to glow in the dark, a physical manifestation of the peace and the harmony of the weavers. This reminds us that the energy we put into our work is just as important as the skill of our hands. If we work with a heart full of stress and a mind full of chatter, the results of our labor will reflect that agitation. But if we work with a quiet heart and a focused mind, even the most mundane task can become a work of art and a source of blessing. The silence is the invisible ingredient that makes everything we do more effective and more beautiful. It is the light that illuminates our path and the warmth that nourishes our soul. By honoring the silence, we are honoring the divine spark within us and within every living being. We begin to see that there is no us and them, only a single, magnificent flow of life that expresses itself in infinite variety. This realization leads to a natural sense of ethics and a desire to live in a way that causes no harm. Our silence becomes a form of nonviolence, a way of refusing to participate in the noise of conflict and the clamor of greed. We choose a simpler life, a life that is focused on quality rather than quantity, and on depth rather than surface. In the quiet, we find the courage to follow our own heart, even when it leads us away from the expectations of society. We realize that our true success is not measured by our bank account or our social status, but by the level of peace and kindness we bring to the world. There was a traveler who was walking through a dense forest, and he found himself lost as the sun began to set. He was tempted to run in circles, calling out for help, but he remembered the words of an old teacher who told him that when you are lost, the best thing to do is to become as still as the trees around you. He sat down at the base of a great oak and closed his eyes, letting go of his panic and his desire to be somewhere else. As he became quiet, he started to hear the subtle sounds of the forest, the scurrying of a mouse, the rustle of the wind in the high branches, and the distant murmur of a stream. He followed the sound of the water, and it eventually led him to a small clearing where he could see the stars and find his way back to the path. The forest had not changed, but the traveler's relationship to it had changed, allowing him to find his way through the power of his own stillness. This is the wisdom of the one who understands that the answers we seek are often right in front of us, hidden by the noise of our own effort. By being quiet, we allow the world to reveal its secrets to us, and we find that we are never truly lost as long as we are centered in our own being. The silence is the compass that always points toward the truth, a truth that is both simple and profound. It tells us that we are part of a larger whole, and that our lives have a meaning and a purpose that transcends our individual desires. In the quiet, we can hear the music of the spheres, the harmonious vibration of the universe that sustains everything in existence. This music is not heard with the ears, but felt with the soul, a sense of resonance and belonging that brings a deep feeling of joy and peace. When we live in harmony with this music, our lives become a song of praise and a dance of gratitude. The practice of silence is the practice of tuning ourselves to this universal frequency, clearing away the static of our own ego and our own fears. It is a lifelong journey of refinement and awakening, a journey that brings us closer to our true home in every moment. May you always find the strength to be still, the wisdom to be silent, and the love to be who you truly are in the heart of the great silence. As the world continues to spin in its endless cycle of gain and loss, let us be like the center of the wheel, immovable and quiet while everything around us is in motion. This inner stability is the greatest treasure we can possess, for it allows us to face the ups and downs of life with grace and with equanimity. We are no longer victims of our circumstances, but masters of our own inner state, choosing peace over conflict and love over fear in every situation. Our silence is not a withdrawal from the world, but a deeper engagement with it, a way of seeing the beauty and the sacredness that is hidden in plain sight. It is a light that shines in the darkness, a voice that speaks without words, and a presence that heals without trying. Trust in the silence, for it is your truest friend and your most faithful guide on the journey of life. It will never fail you, it will never mislead you, and it will always bring you back to the peace that you have always been seeking. Simply breathe, be quiet, and know that you are at home in the heart of the infinite silence. In every moment, there is a chance to start again, to let go of the past and to embrace the present with an open and humble heart. The journey of silence is the journey of the soul returning to its source, a journey that is filled with wonder, with beauty, and with infinite peace. May your path be blessed with the light of the silence, and may your life be a beautiful expression of the wisdom and the compassion that you find there. In the end, it is the silence that will lead us home, back to the source of all things and to the peace that has no end. May you always live in that peace, and may your heart be a sanctuary of silence in a world of noise. Be still, be silent, and know that you are truly blessed by the very mystery of your own life. As we move forward together, let the quietude of our spirit be a bridge that connects us to all of life, a bridge of understanding and compassion that transcends all boundaries. The world may be filled with voices that seek to divide and to destroy, but our silence can be a voice for unity and for healing. It is a quiet power that can change the atmosphere of a room, the direction of a conversation, and the destiny of a life. Trust in this power, nurture it with your own awareness, and share it with the world through your gentle and loving presence. The journey of silence is the journey of the heart returning to its true home, a journey that is filled with beauty, with wonder, and with infinite peace. In every quiet breath, in every silent moment, the truth is being revealed in all its simplicity and light. Listen to the silence, for it has much to tell you, and let it lead you to the peace that you have always been seeking. You are a part of the grand and magnificent dance of the universe, and your silence is just as precious as your song. Honoring both, you live a life that is balanced and whole, a life that is a true reflection of the wisdom and the compassion that are at your core. May the peace of the silence be with you always, and may it bring you to the place where all words fall away and only the truth remains. In the heart of the silence, you are home, and in that home, you find everything you have ever been seeking. Simply breathe, be quiet, and know that you are at peace with yourself and with the entire universe. There was a story of a young monk who was struggling with his meditation, his mind constantly wandering to the village he had left behind and the friends he had once known. He went to his teacher and complained that the silence of the temple was too loud, and that he could find no rest in the stillness. The teacher didn't give him a lecture on focus or discipline, but instead asked him to carry a small, empty bowl to the village and back without letting a single drop of silence escape from it. The monk was confused, but he did as he was told, walking slowly and mindfully through the busy marketplace and the crowded streets. When he returned, he realized that by focusing so intently on the bowl of silence, the noise of the village had become just a background hum that no longer disturbed his inner peace. He saw that the silence was not something that was outside of him, but was a quality of his own attention and his own heart. This is the secret of living in the world without being overwhelmed by it, the realization that we can carry our own silence with us wherever we go. It is like having an invisible shield that protects us from the negativity and the chaos of the environment, allowing us to stay centered and calm in any situation. Our silence is our portable sanctuary, a place of refuge that is always available to us, no matter how busy or noisy our lives may be. By practicing this portable silence, we become more effective in everything we do, as we are able to focus our energy and our attention with greater clarity and precision. We are no longer reactive to the moods of others or the events of the day, but are able to respond from a place of inner wisdom and compassion. This is the true meaning of being, in the world but not of it, a state of being where we are fully engaged with life but without being lost in its drama. The wisdom of silence is the wisdom of the free soul, the soul that has discovered its own source of peace and joy and no longer needs to search for it in the outside world. It is a life of great dignity and grace, a life that is a source of inspiration and hope for all who cross our path. May we all find the courage to carry our own bowl of silence through the marketplace of life, and may our inner peace be a light for ourselves and for the world. In the heart of the silence, everything is revealed, and everything is healed. Trust in your own quietude, and let it lead you to the place where all questions are answered and only the truth remains. You are a beautiful and unique expression of the same infinite life that moves the stars and the seasons, and your silence is a sacred part of that expression. Honoring the silence, you are honoring the very essence of your being and the sacredness of all things. May the peace of the silence be with you always, now and forever. In the quiet of the night, as the shadows lengthen and the world prepares for sleep, let the silence of your own heart reflect the deep peace of the cosmos. We are each a thread in a vast and beautiful tapestry, and our silence is the space that allows the patterns of light to be seen. By dwelling in the quiet, we become more aware of our connection to the whole, and more mindful of the beauty that surrounds us. This awareness is the source of true happiness, a happiness that is not dependent on external things but arises from the depth of our own being. May you always find your way back to this source, and may your life be a beautiful expression of the silence and the peace that you find there. In the heart of the silence, we are all one, and in that oneness, we find our true home. Be quiet, be still, and let the light of the silence show you the way. The path of the wise is a path of silence, of compassion, and of profound understanding, and it is a path that is open to each and every one of us. Simply be still, be quiet, and let the peace of the silence fill your life with its infinite grace. As we move toward the next moment, let the silence be your foundation and your guide, helping you to live with awareness, with kindness, and with a heart that is full of love for all beings. The journey is beautiful, the silence is true, and you are blessed beyond measure by the very mystery of your own life. Trust in the silence, and let it bring you home to the peace that you have always been seeking. In every quiet breath, in every silent moment, the light of the truth is shining, guiding you toward the fulfillment of your highest potential. Listen with your heart, for the silence has much to tell you, and let it be the music of your soul, now and forever. The journey of silence is the journey of homecoming, and you are already there, in the quiet center of your own being. Simply be, and know that all is well in the grand and magnificent dance of life. The afternoon sun begins to cast long, elegant shadows across the path of our understanding, revealing that the silence we hold is not a static shield but a living, breathing dialogue with the unseen forces of life. There was once a stone carver in a village near the great mountains who was tasked with creating a statue that would represent the essence of peace for the town square. He did not begin by striking the rock with his hammer. Instead, he spent 3 full moons simply sitting before the massive block of granite, listening to the frozen silence held within the stone. When the villagers grew impatient and asked why he was wasting time in idle stillness, he replied that he was waiting for the statue to tell him where it was hiding, so he would not accidentally break its spirit with a misplaced blow. He understood that every action taken without a foundation of quietude is merely an imposition of the ego upon the world, a forced movement that lacks the grace of natural alignment. When he finally picked up his tools, his movements were slow and precise, guided by a clarity that could only be forged in those long hours of wordless observation. The resulting figure was so lifelike and serene that those who stood before it felt their own heart rates slow down, their own racing thoughts coming to a gentle halt in the presence of such grounded tranquility. This is the power of bringing silence into our creative endeavors, the realization that the best results come not from our struggle to dominate the material, but from our willingness to listen to its inherent nature. In our relationships, we often feel the need to fill every gap in conversation with a witty remark or a helpful suggestion, fearing that a pause might signal a lack of connection or an awkward distance. Yet, it is often in those very pauses that the most profound sharing occurs, the moments where two souls simply recognize each other's presence without the distorting lens of language. Noble silence is the bridge that allows us to walk into the heart of another person without bringing the baggage of our own expectations or the noise of our own unhealed wounds. When we sit with a friend who is going through a period of deep transition, our quietness acts as a spacious container, giving them the room they need to find their own voice amidst the chaos of change. We learn to listen not just to the words being spoken, but to the vibration of the silence that surrounds them, picking up on the subtle currents of hope, fear, and longing that words often fail to capture. There is a story of a young flute player who was so talented that he could imitate the songs of every bird in the forest, yet he felt that his music lacked a certain depth that he observed in the playing of the old masters. He sought out a teacher who lived in a bamboo grove and asked for the secret to making music that could touch the divine. The teacher took the flute from the boy's hands and broke it in two, then led him to a place where a small stream trickled over ancient stones, asking him to stay there until he could hear the music in the water. At first, the boy was devastated, but as he sat in the silence of the grove, he began to realize that the flute was just a hollow branch and the true music was the emptiness within it that allowed the air to vibrate. He learned that his obsession with technique and imitation had made him deaf to the silent symphony that was already playing in the rustle of the leaves and the flow of the stream. When he finally made a new flute, his playing was no longer a performance of skill, but a humble accompaniment to the silence of the forest, a sound that brought tears of joy to all who heard it. This reminds us that our own lives are the instruments, and when we are cluttered with the noise of ambition and the chatter of the ego, the music we produce is often thin and discordant. By practicing silence, we are hollowing ourselves out, creating the internal space necessary for a deeper wisdom and a more authentic love to resonate through us. We often fear emptiness because we associate it with lack, but in the spiritual sense, emptiness is a state of total potential, a vessel that is ready to be filled with the nectar of reality. When we are silent, we are not losing ourselves, we are finding the self that exists before all the stories and the labels were applied. This original self is like the deep sky, unaffected by the weather of our emotions or the clouds of our thoughts, a vastness that is inherently peaceful and eternally clear. In the ancient times, there was a king who possessed a magical mirror that was said to show the true character of anyone who looked into it. Many people avoided the mirror because they were afraid of what they might see, while others tried to dress in their finest clothes and put on confident expressions to trick the glass. A quiet sage finally visited the palace and stood before the mirror with a mind that was as still as a mountain lake in the middle of the night. The mirror showed nothing but a brilliant, white light, reflecting the purity of a heart that had let go of all its attachments and its need to be recognized as somebody. The king was amazed and asked the sage how he had achieved such a reflection, and the sage replied that he had simply spent so much time in silence that he had forgotten how to pretend. When we stop pretending to be what we are not, we find a freedom that is far more precious than any social status or material wealth. The silence is the place where our masks fall away, where we can no longer hide from our own truths or distract ourselves with the applause of others. It is a demanding teacher, for it forces us to face our own shadows and our own inconsistencies, but it is also the most compassionate teacher, for it shows us that we are already forgiven by the very nature of existence. Every time we choose to stay quiet in the face of an insult, we are practicing a form of spiritual alchemy, turning the lead of anger into the gold of understanding. We realize that the person who is attacking us is merely projecting their own internal suffering, and our silence provides a neutral space where that suffering can be seen without being amplified. By not taking the bait, we are breaking the chains of karma that keep us locked in cycles of resentment and revenge. Our quietude is not a sign of indifference, but a sign of a heart that is so grounded in peace that it no longer needs to defend itself against the winds of opinion. There was once a village that was famous for its clocks. Every house had dozens of them, all ticking at different speeds and chiming at different times. The noise was so constant that the people had forgotten what silence felt like, and they walked through their lives in a state of perpetual anxiety, always feeling that they were running out of time. A stranger arrived and suggested that for 1 hour every week, everyone should stop their clocks and sit in total stillness. The villagers were hesitant, fearing that without the ticking, the world might simply stop moving or they would lose their place in the order of things. However, during that first hour of silence, they noticed something miraculous. The birds seemed to sing louder, the air felt fresher, and they could hear the steady beat of their own hearts. They realized that time is not a master to be feared, but a river to be enjoyed, and that the constant ticking had been a cage they built for themselves. When they started their clocks again, they did so with a sense of perspective, no longer allowing the mechanical sound to dictate the quality of their internal peace. We are often like those villagers, surrounded by the ticking of our digital devices, our social media feeds, and the constant pressure to be productive. By carving out intentional periods of silence, we are stopping the clocks of our own anxiety, allowing our souls to catch up with our bodies. In the quiet, we find that we have all the time in the world, for the present moment is an eternal doorway that never closes. The wisdom of silence teaches us the art of doing by not doing, the ability to let things unfold according to their own natural intelligence rather than trying to force our will upon the world. Think of a mother bird sitting on her eggs. She is not doing anything in the eyes of a busy observer, yet her steady, silent presence is the very thing that allows the new life to develop. Our own dreams and intentions require that same period of silent incubation, a time when we protect them from the harsh light of external judgment and the noise of premature discussion. When we talk too much about our plans, we often scatter the energy that should be used for their manifestation, leaving us with plenty of words but very little fruit. The wise ones are often those who speak the least about their accomplishments, for they know that the work itself is its own reward and its own witness. In the silence of our own meditation, we begin to see that our thoughts are like fish swimming in an ocean. They come and they go, but they do not define the ocean itself. We can watch them with a sense of curious detachment, not needing to catch every one or follow it to the depths of the sea. This spaciousness of mind is the ultimate goal of the path, a state where we are no longer prisoners of our own mental chatter. We find that even in the midst of a noisy city or a stressful workplace, we can carry a small piece of that ocean of silence within us. It becomes our secret refuge, a place where we can retreat for a single breath and return with a renewed sense of clarity and compassion. There was a traveler who was once caught in a violent thunderstorm while crossing a wide plain, and he saw a large, ancient tree in the distance. He ran to it, but instead of hiding under the branches where the lightning might strike, he sat in a hollow at the base of the trunk, protected by the thick bark and the deep roots. The storm raged around him, but he felt a strange sense of peace, for he was anchored by the stability of the tree that had survived 100 such storms. Our practice of silence is that tree, the roots that go deep into the earth of truth and the trunk that stands firm against the winds of change. By dwelling in the silence, we are anchoring ourselves in something that is older and stronger than our temporary troubles. We realize that we are not separate from the strength of the universe, but are a vital part of its ongoing expression. This sense of connection brings a profound feeling of safety, allowing us to let go of our need for control and our fear of the unknown. We start to trust that the universe knows what it is doing, even when we cannot see the full picture from our limited perspective. The silence is the medium through which this trust is communicated, a wordless prayer that says, "I am here, I am open, and I am ready to serve." As we walk through the marketplace of life, our quietness becomes a light that illuminates the path for others, showing them that it is possible to be peaceful even in a world that is often chaotic. We don't need to preach or to convert, for our very presence is a testament to the transformative power of a quiet heart. People are naturally drawn to the stillness, sensing that it is a source of healing and a wellspring of wisdom that they too can access. Our silence becomes an act of generosity, a gift of peace that we offer to everyone we meet, simply by being who we are. Every time we listen fully to another person without interrupting, we are giving them a piece of our own silence, allowing them to feel the dignity of being truly heard. This is the foundation of a new kind of community, one that is built on the shared values of awareness, respect, and deep listening. In this community, we don't need to compete for attention or to prove our worth through loud displays of power. We recognize the inherent value of every being, and we honor the unique contribution that each person makes to the whole. The silence is the ground upon which this new world is being built, a world where the wisdom of the heart is more important than the cleverness of the mind. It is a world where we move with the seasons, breathe with the trees, and live in harmony with the natural rhythms of life. By practicing silence today, we are planting the seeds for this world of tomorrow, a world of peace and of beauty for all generations to come. May you always find the strength to be still, the wisdom to be quiet, and the love to be who you truly are in the magnificent tapestry of life. The path of the wise is a path of silent joy, a path of deep understanding, and a path of infinite compassion. It is a path that is open to each and every one of us, in every breath and in every moment. Simply be quiet, be still, and know that you are at home in the heart of the great silence. In the heart of the silence, you find the strength to forgive, the courage to love, and the wisdom to let go. Trust in the silence, for it is your truest friend and your most faithful guide on the journey of life. May the peace of the silence be with you always, now and forever. In every quiet breath, in every silent moment, the truth of your own being is being revealed. Listen with your whole heart, and let the silence lead you to the light. The journey of silence is the journey of the heart returning to its true home, and you are already there, in the quiet center of your own being. Simply be, and know that all is well. As the journey of our life unfolds, we realize that silence is not just a destination, but the very foundation of our existence. It is the canvas upon which our life is painted, the space that gives our actions meaning and our words depth. By honoring the silence, we are honoring the sacredness of our own journey and the beauty of all life. May your life be a beautiful expression of this wisdom, and may your silence be a source of peace and joy for all beings. The journey continues, and the silence is always with us, a constant reminder of the light that shines within. May you always find the quiet center within yourself, and may it be a source of endless strength and fulfillment. In the heart of the silence, all is revealed and all is healed. Trust in your own quietude, and let it lead you to the peace that has no end. In the silence of the soul, we find the true meaning of our life and the ultimate purpose of our existence. May the great silence hold you always in its loving and eternal embrace, and may you find the joy and the fulfillment that you truly deserve. As the shadows lengthen and the day draws to a close, let the silence of your heart be a prayer for the well-being of all beings. In the quiet, we are all one, and in that oneness, we find our true home. Be still, be silent, and know that you are truly blessed by the very mystery of life. The path of the wise is a path of silence, of compassion, and of profound understanding. May you walk it with grace and with joy, now and forever. In every quiet breath, in every silent moment, the light of the Tao is shining, guiding you home to the peace that is your true nature. Trust in the silence, for it is the voice of the divine, calling you to the heart of the mystery. Listen with your soul, and let the silence lead you to the truth. The journey of silence is the journey of the heart returning to its true home, and you are already there, in the quiet center of your own being. Simply be, and know that all is well in the magnificent dance of life. As the quietude of the evening settles in, let your own stillness reflect the deep peace of the universe. We are each a vital part of a vast and beautiful whole, and our silence is the space that allows the music of the cosmos to be heard. By dwelling in the quiet, we become more aware of our connection to the stars, the trees, and every living creature. This awareness is the source of true happiness and a peace that passes all understanding. May you always find your way back to this source, and may your life be a beautiful expression of the silence and the peace that you find there. In the heart of the silence, we are home, and in that home, we find everything we have ever been seeking. Simply breathe, be quiet, and know that you are at peace. The path is open, the silence is calling, and the journey is beautiful beyond all words. Let us walk it together, in peace and in light, honoring the mystery of life and the sacredness of our own journey. Every moment is a gift, and every silence is an invitation to experience the depth and the richness of being alive. By accepting this invitation, we are transformed, and through our transformation, the world is healed. Trust in the power of your own silence, and let it be a source of wisdom and peace for all beings. The journey of the seeker is the journey from the noise of the ego to the silence of the soul. May you find that silence within yourself, and may it be your guide and your friend, now and forever. In the heart of the silence, all is well, and all is peace. Be quiet, be still, and know that you are truly blessed. The lengthening shadows of the day invite us to consider that silence is not merely a personal refuge but a profound form of hospitality that we offer to the world around us. There was once a traveler who found himself in a village where the houses were built so close together that every whisper could be heard by the neighbors, leading to constant friction and endless disputes. He noticed a small cottage at the very edge of the woods where a woman lived alone, yet her garden was the most vibrant and her presence seemed to cast a spell of calm over everyone who passed her gate. When he asked her how she maintained such a sense of private sanctuary in a place of such crowding, she explained that she had learned to build walls not of stone or wood, but of a specific kind of internal quiet. She told him that when the world is loud, the most radical thing one can do is to become a hollow vessel, letting the noise pass through without catching on the thorns of the ego. By not providing a surface for the noise to strike against, she remained untouched by the chaos, and her garden flourished because she gave it her undivided, silent attention every morning before the village woke. This is the essence of understanding the religion in our modern interactions, the realization that we do not have to participate in every emotional storm that blows our way. When we offer someone our silence, we are actually giving them a mirror in which they can see their own reflections, a space where they are not being managed, corrected, or redirected. In the ancient records of a coastal monastery, there is a story of a young monk who was tasked with counting the waves of the ocean as a form of discipline to sharpen his focus. He struggled for months, frustrated that the waves never stopped and that his count was constantly interrupted by the cries of the gulls or the salty spray of the wind. His teacher finally led him to a small cave that overlooked the shore and told him to stop counting the waves and start listening to the silence that existed beneath the roar of the water. In that deep, tectonic stillness, the monk realized that the waves were just a surface decoration of the ocean, a temporary movement that did not change the profound peace of the depths. When he returned to his daily chores, his movements were no longer frantic, and he spoke with a voice that carried the weight and the tranquility of the deep sea. We often spend our lives counting the waves of our problems, our desires, and our fears, forgetting that there is a vast ocean of silence within us that remains undisturbed by the weather of our circumstances. By turning our attention to this internal depth, we find a source of strength that is not dependent on external validation or material success. There is a subtle humor in the way we search for wisdom in complex philosophies and thick volumes of poetry, while the most profound truths are often written in the way the dew settles on a leaf or the way a cat watches a butterfly. Nature does not use logic or rhetoric to prove its points, it simply exists in a state of perfect, silent alignment with the laws of the universe. When we align our own hearts with this same rhythm, we find that the struggle to be right or to be special simply falls away like an old garment that no longer fits. A story is told of a famous potter who was so skilled that he could create vases as thin as a dragonfly's wing, yet he felt that his work was hollow and lacked a soul. He sought out a master who lived in a bamboo forest and asked how he could infuse his clay with the breath of life. The master told him to spend a week in the forest without his tools, without his clay, and without his voice, simply being a witness to the growth of the bamboo. In that week of quiet observation, the potter noticed the immense strength that came from the flexibility of the stalks and the way the hollow centers allowed the wind to play a haunting melody. When he returned to his wheel, he no longer tried to force the clay into rigid shapes, but instead allowed it to find its own balance, creating vessels that seem to hold the very essence of the forest's silence. This reminds us that our true work is not to impose our will on the world, but to become a clear channel through which the beauty of life can flow. In the quiet, we find the courage to let go of the need to be the author of every success, realizing that we are just a small part of a much larger, magnificent unfolding. This realization brings a sense of profound relief, as we no longer have to carry the burden of being the center of the universe. We can move through our day with a light heart, doing what needs to be done with sincerity and care, but without the heavy attachment to the outcome. Our silence becomes a form of worship, an acknowledgement of the sacredness that permeates every object, every encounter, and every breath. There was a king who was so bothered by the constant chatter of his advisors that he built a special room made of thick glass where he could sit in total silence. He found that in that room, he could finally see the patterns of the kingdom's needs with clarity, and his decisions became more compassionate and far-sighted. However, he realized that he couldn't spend his whole life in a glass room, so he asked a wandering sage how he could carry that silence into the busy court. The sage gave him a small, wooden ring and told him to touch it whenever he felt the urge to speak out of anger or vanity. The ring was not magical, it was simply a physical reminder to pause, to breathe, and to reconnect with the silence of the glass room within his own heart. We can create our own version of this ring, a simple practice of pausing for 3 seconds before responding to a difficult email or a challenging comment. In those 3 seconds of silence, we can choose to be a source of peace rather than a source of further conflict. This is the wisdom of the one who knows that every word is a seed, and that we have the power to decide what kind of garden we are planting in the minds of others. When we speak from a place of inner quiet, our words are like cool water on a parched land, bringing nourishment and hope to those who are weary. We stop using our speech to defend our ego and start using it to build bridges of understanding and compassion. There is a particular dignity in the silence of an old tree that has survived many winters, its branches scarred but its roots deep and firm. It does not complain about the cold or the wind, it simply stands in its truth, providing a home for the birds and a shade for the traveler. Our spiritual practice is the process of becoming like that tree, developing an internal stability that is not shaken by the changing winds of fortune. The silence is the soil in which our roots grow, and the more we cultivate it, the more resilient we become. In the silence, we find the clarity to see through the illusions of the material world, recognizing that the things we often chase are as fleeting as the morning mist. We realize that true wealth is not measured by what we possess, but by how much peace we have in our hearts and how much love we share with others. This shift in perspective allows us to live with more gratitude and less anxiety, appreciating the simple gifts that life offers us every day. There was a village where the people were always competing to see who could tell the most elaborate stories, and the air was constantly filled with the sound of exaggeration and boasting. A quiet man arrived and began to build a stone wall around a community well, working in total silence from dawn until dusk. At first, the villagers mocked him, telling him that his silence was a sign of a dull mind and a lack of spirit. But as the wall grew, they noticed that it was perfectly balanced, each stone fitting against the next with a precision that was truly beautiful. When the wall was finished, the villagers found that they no longer wanted to tell loud stories by the well. Instead, they felt a natural urge to sit in the shade of the stones and enjoy the cool, quiet air. The man's silence had created a space where the truth could finally be felt, showing the villagers that the most beautiful things are often those that do not need to be explained. Our lives are like those stone walls, and the quality of our actions is determined by the silence we bring to the work. When we work with a quiet heart, we are creating something of lasting value, something that contributes to the peace and the beauty of the whole. The wisdom of silence is the wisdom of the soul, a deep and abiding knowledge that we are always safe and always loved in the heart of the universe. It is a path that leads us back to the source of our being, to the place where all the rivers of our experience meet in a single, vast ocean of peace. By practicing silence today, we are honoring the light that shines within us and within every living creature. We are choosing to be a part of the solution, a source of healing and hope in a world that is often filled with noise and confusion. Trust in the silence, for it is your truest guide and your most faithful friend, always waiting for you in the quiet center of your own heart. Simply breathe, be still, and know that you are home. In the heart of the silence, all questions find their resolution, not in words, but in a sense of profound and abiding unity. May you always find your way back to this stillness, and may it be a source of endless joy and fulfillment for you and for the entire world. The journey continues, and the silence is your constant companion, guiding you with its quiet wisdom and holding you in its eternal embrace. Every moment is a gift, every silence is an invitation, and every breath is a chance to start again in the light of the truth. May you walk this path with grace and with love, honoring the mystery of life and the sacredness of your own journey. In the end, it is the silence that speaks the most profound truths, and it is the quiet heart that hears the music of the spheres. Be still, be silent, and know that you are truly blessed. As we look at the stars in the quiet of the night, let us remember that they have been shining for millions of years, indifferent to the noise and the dramas of the human world. Their silent light is a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the smallness of our own worries. By connecting with that celestial quiet, we find a sense of perspective that helps us to navigate the challenges of our daily lives with more ease and grace. We realize that we are part of a magnificent and eternal story, a story that is written in the language of the silence. Let your own heart be a reflection of that starlight, a steady and silent presence that brings hope and guidance to all who are lost in the dark. The wisdom of the religion is the wisdom of the heart that has found its peace, a heart that no longer needs to shout to be heard. May your silence be a blessing for yourself and for all beings, and may it bring you to the place of ultimate awakening and infinite love. The path is open, the silence is calling, and you are ready. Trust in the light that shines in the stillness, and let it lead you home. In every quiet breath, in every silent moment, you are connecting with the very source of life. Enjoy the journey, honor the silence, and live with a heart that is full of the peace of the universe. May you always find the quiet center within yourself, and may it be a source of endless strength and fulfillment for you and for the world. In the heart of the silence, you are home, and all is well. Simply be, and know that you are at peace. As the quietude of the evening settles in, let your own stillness reflect the deep peace of the cosmos. We are each a vital part of a vast and beautiful whole, and our silence is the space that allows the music of the cosmos to be heard. By dwelling in the quiet, we become more aware of our connection to the stars, the trees, and every living creature. This awareness is the source of true happiness and a peace that passes all understanding. May you always find your way back to this source, and may your life be a beautiful expression of the silence and the peace that you find there. In the heart of the silence, we are home, and in that home, we find everything we have ever been seeking. Simply breathe, be quiet, and know that you are at peace. The path is open, the silence is calling, and the journey is beautiful beyond all words. Let us walk it together, in peace and in light, honoring the mystery of life and the sacredness of our own journey. Every moment is a gift, and every silence is an invitation to experience the depth and the richness of being alive. By accepting this invitation, we are transformed, and through our transformation, the world is healed. Trust in the power of your own silence, and let it be a source of wisdom and peace for all beings. The journey of the seeker is the journey from the noise of the ego to the silence of the soul. May you find that silence within yourself, and may it be your guide and your friend, now and forever. In the heart of the silence, all is well, and all is peace. Be quiet, be still, and know that you are truly blessed. In the ancient times, a traveler once came across a waterfall that fell into a deep, clear pool, and he noticed that the water at the bottom was perfectly still, despite the roar of the falls above. He realized that the depth of the pool was what allowed the water to remain calm, providing a place of rest for the energy of the waterfall. Our own lives are like that pool, and our practice of silence is what gives us the depth to remain calm in the face of the constant roar of the world. The deeper we go into our own quietude, the more stable and peaceful we become. Let your silence be that deep pool, a place of refreshment and renewal for yourself and for everyone who encounters you. May you always find the strength to go deep, and may your peace be as vast and as clear as the water in that ancient mountain pool. The journey of the soul is a journey into the heart of silence, where we rediscover our true nature as a part of the divine and eternal whole. In this discovery, we find the freedom to be who we truly are, without any masks or pretenses, and to live a life that is a true reflection of our highest potential. This is the promise of the path, and it is a promise that is being fulfilled in every moment that we choose to be silent and aware. So, move forward with a quiet heart and a peaceful mind, knowing that you are on the right path and that the silence is always there to support and guide you. Every step you take in silence is a step toward your own liberation and toward the healing of the world. Trust in the process, trust in the silence, and trust in the power of your own awakening. May the light of wisdom shine in your heart, and may the peace of silence be your constant companion. In the quiet of our own heart, the truth is revealed, not as a concept, but as a direct experience of the beauty and the unity of all life. This experience is the greatest treasure we can ever find, and it is available to us in every moment of silence. So let us continue to cultivate this silence, with patience, with humility, and with a deep sense of gratitude for the gift of awareness. The silence is our true home, and in that home, we find the peace that surpasses all understanding. May you live in this peace always, and may your silence be a blessing for the entire world. The path is long, but the silence is true, and the journey is filled with wonder and light. Trust in the silence, and let it lead you to the heart of the mystery of life. In the heart of the silence, you are home, and you are at peace. Simply be quiet, be still, and let the beauty of the silence fill your soul. As we move forward, let the silence be our guide and our constant companion, helping us to live with awareness, with kindness, and with a heart that is full of love for all beings. The journey is beautiful, the silence is true, and you are blessed beyond measure by the very mystery of your own life. Trust in the silence, and let it bring you home. In every quiet breath, in every silent moment, the light of the religion is shining, guiding you toward the peace that you have always been seeking. Listen with your heart, for the silence has much to tell you, and let it be the music of your soul, now and forever. The journey of silence is the journey of the heart returning to its true home, and you are already there, in the quiet center of your own being. Simply be, and know that all is well. As the journey of our life unfolds, we realize that silence is not just a practice, but a way of being in the world. It is the way we listen, the way we speak, and the way we act, all coming from a place of inner stillness and peace. By living in this way, we are expressing the wisdom of the path in every moment, and we are bringing light and healing to a world that is so often in need of it. May your life be a beautiful expression of this wisdom, and may your silence be a source of peace and joy for all beings. The journey continues, and the silence is always with us, a constant reminder of the sacredness of our own journey. May you always walk in the light of the silence, and may your heart be a sanctuary of peace in a world of noise. Be still, be silent, and know that you are truly blessed. In the heart of the silence, all is revealed and all is healed. Trust in your own quietude, and let it lead you to the peace that has no end. In the silence of the soul, we find the true meaning of our life and the ultimate purpose of our existence. May the great silence hold you always in its loving and eternal embrace, and may you find the joy and the fulfillment that you truly deserve. The path of the wise is a path of silence, of compassion, and of profound understanding. May you walk it with grace and with joy, now and forever. In every quiet breath, in every silent moment, the light of the truth is shining, guiding you home to the peace that is your true nature. Trust in the silence, for it is the voice of the divine, calling you to the heart of the mystery. Listen with your soul, and let the silence lead you to the truth. The journey of silence is the journey of the heart returning to its true home, and you are already there, in the quiet center of your own being. Simply be, and know that all is well in the magnificent dance of life. The twilight of our reflection deepens into a velvet stillness, revealing that the wisdom of silence is not just about holding back words, but about refining the very intention behind our existence. There was once an old clockmaker in a city of iron and steam who was famous for creating timepieces that never lost a second, yet he himself lived in a house without a single ticking sound. A curious student asked him how he could master the art of time while living in such an absence of it, and the old man led him to a small workshop where a single candle burned in the center of the room. He explained that to hear the heartbeat of a tiny gear, one must first learn to hear the silence between their own heartbeats, for the loudest noise in the world is the sound of one's own restless ambition. The clockmaker believed that most people were not living in time, but were being chased by it, their voices becoming high and strained as they tried to outrun the inevitable sunset. By embracing the quiet, he was able to move with time rather than against it, his hands possessing a steadiness that seemed to defy his aging years. This is the secret of the sage who understands that the religion is not a race to be won, but a rhythm to be joined, a slow and majestic dance that requires us to leave our heavy shoes of worry at the door. When we are silent, we stop trying to bargain with the universe for more minutes, more recognition, or more control, and instead, we begin to appreciate the infinite quality of the minute we are currently breathing. Think of a frozen lake in the heart of winter, its surface hard and unyielding, yet beneath the ice, the water remains liquid and life continues in a slow, deliberate dream. Our silence is that protective layer of ice, a boundary that keeps the cold winds of social pressure from freezing the warm currents of our soul. In the ancient chronicles of a desert kingdom, there was a story of a queen who was known for her brilliant counsel, but she would never give an answer on the day a question was asked. She would retreat to a garden of stones and sit without moving until the moon had crossed the sky, listening not to the arguments of her ministers, but to the weight of the problem as it settled in the silence. She realized that the first answer that pops into the mind is often just a shadow of our prejudices or a reflex of our fears. Only in the deep quiet does the true answer rise, like a bubble of air from the bottom of a well, clear and undeniable. When she finally spoke, her words were few, but they carried the authority of a mountain, settling disputes that had lasted for generations. We often rush to fill the gaps in our understanding with quick judgments, fearing that if we do not have an opinion, we will be seen as empty or uninformed. Yet, there is a profound intelligence in saying nothing when we do not yet know the truth, a dignity in waiting for the clarity that only time and stillness can provide. This silent waiting is a form of spiritual bravery, a refusal to settle for a convenient lie when a difficult truth is still being formed. In our modern world, where everyone is encouraged to have a voice and a platform, the choice to remain silent is perhaps the most courageous act of all. It is a declaration that our peace is more valuable than our popularity, and that our integrity is not for sale to the highest bidder of attention. There was a master of calligraphy who lived in a hut made of reeds, and it was said that his brush moved with the grace of a crane taking flight. He once told a disciple that the ink was not the most important part of the scroll, but the white paper that remained untouched, for without the emptiness, the characters would have no room to breathe. He practiced for years to make his strokes as thin and as deliberate as possible, learning to value the silence of the page as much as the dance of the ink. Our lives are that scroll, and when we fill every corner with activities, possessions, and chatter, we leave no room for the light of the Spirit to shine through. The wisdom of silence is the art of leaving the page white, of choosing to let certain things remain unsaid and certain actions remain undone so that the essential beauty of our being can be seen. We find that the less we try to decorate our lives with external noise, the more we notice the internal music that has been playing all along. This music is a subtle vibration of joy, a sense of all is well, that does not depend on our bank account or our health, but on our connection to the source of life. When we are quiet, we become like a well-tuned instrument, capable of resonating with the highest frequencies of compassion and understanding. We start to see that our anger and our frustrations are just discordant notes that we have allowed to play for too long. With a single silent breath, we can return to the harmony of our true nature, a state of being that is as natural as the sunrise and as steady as the tide. There is a legend of a shepherd who found a cave in the side of a mountain where the air was so still that he could hear the thoughts of the clouds as they passed overhead. He didn't become a prophet or a king, he simply returned to his flock and moved with a gentleness that made the wild animals trust him. His silence had given him a sense of the scale of things, a realization that the dramas of the village were just tiny ripples in a very large pond. He no longer felt the need to complain about the rain or the heat, for he saw them as part of a magnificent and necessary cycle. This is the perspective that the religion offers us, a way of seeing the world that is both humble and vast. In the silence, we realize that we are both the drop of water and the entire ocean, both the flickering candle and the eternal sun. This realization dissolves the walls of our isolation, helping us to see that the suffering of another is our own suffering, and their joy is our own joy. Our silence then becomes a form of prayer, a wordless offering of our presence to the well-being of all that exists. We don't need to go to a temple to find this sacred space, for it is carried within us, a hidden room in the heart that is always cool and always quiet. By visiting this room daily, we replenish our energy and clear our vision, ensuring that our actions in the world are rooted in love rather than in ego. Think of a great river that flows through a busy city. Its water may be covered in the reflection of the neon lights and the smoke, but deep down, the river is still following its ancient path to the sea. Our life is that river, and our silence is the deep water that remains pure even when the surface is cluttered with the debris of modern living. By staying connected to the depths, we ensure that we never lose our way, no matter how confusing or loud the city may become. The wisdom of silence is the wisdom of the long view, the ability to see beyond the immediate crisis and the temporary thrill. It helps us to invest our time and our heart in things that have lasting value, like the kindness we show to a stranger or the patience we have with a difficult child. In the quiet, we find the strength to be consistent, to be the person we want to be even when it is hard and even when no one is watching. There was once a stone mason who worked on the foundations of a great cathedral for 50 years, knowing he would never see the spires reach the sky. When asked if he felt bitter about his invisible labor, he replied that the stones in the dark were just as important as the stones in the sun, for they held the silence of the earth that supported the whole weight of the prayer. His work was a silent devotion, a contribution to a beauty that would only be realized long after he was gone. Our own lives are often spent laying the foundations for a peace that we may only see in glimpses, yet every silent moment we cultivate is a stone that strengthens the structure of a more compassionate world. The wisdom of silence teaches us that there is no such thing as a small act of awareness, for every time we choose to be present and quiet, we are shifting the balance of the entire universe. We are adding to the reservoir of peace that the world so desperately needs, a reservoir that is filled one drop at a time by individuals like us. By honoring the silence today, you are being a guardian of the sacred, a protector of the light that resides in the heart of every human being. Trust in the power of your own stillness, and let it be the steady flame that guides you through the complexities of your journey. In every quiet breath, in every silent moment, you are touching the eternal, the part of you that was never born and will never die. This is the ultimate liberation, the realization that you are free, right here and right now, in the very center of the silence. May you always find the courage to be still, the wisdom to be quiet, and the love to be who you truly are in the magnificent tapestry of life. The journey of the heart is a journey back to the source, and the silence is the path that leads us there with grace and with joy. In the heart of the silence, all is revealed, and all is healed, for the silence is the breath of the divine. Be still, be quiet, and know that you are at home in the embrace of the eternal now. As the quiet of the night settles over the earth, let your own stillness reflect the deep peace of the stars. We are all connected in this great web of life, and our silence is the thread that holds us together in a shared understanding of the truth. May you find the rest you need in the quiet of your own heart, and may the silence bring you the clarity and the joy that you truly deserve. In the heart of the silence, all is well, and all is peace. Simply be, and know that you are truly blessed by the mystery of your own existence. The path of the wise is a path of silence, of compassion, and of profound understanding. May you walk it with grace and with joy, now and forever. In every quiet breath, in every silent moment, the light of the truth is shining through you, guiding you home to the peace that is your true nature. Trust in the silence, for it is the language of the soul, calling you to the heart of the great mystery of life. Listen with your whole being, and let the silence lead you to the light that never fails. The journey of silence is the journey of homecoming, and you are already there, in the quiet center of your own being. Simply be, and know that all is well in the grand and magnificent dance of existence. As the shadows of the evening grow long and the world prepares for its nightly rest, let your own heart be a sanctuary of peace and light. By dwelling in the quiet, we become more aware of our connection to the earth, the sky, and every living creature that shares this world with us. This awareness is the source of true happiness and a peace that passes all understanding, a gift that we can share with the world through our quiet and loving presence. May you always find your way back to this source, and may your life be a beautiful expression of the silence and the peace that you find there. In the heart of the silence, we are one, and in that oneness, we find our true purpose and our ultimate fulfillment. Simply breathe, be quiet, and know that you are loved beyond all words by the very silence that holds the stars in their place. The path is open, the silence is true, and the journey is beautiful beyond all measure. Let us walk it together in peace and in light, honoring the sacredness of every moment and the mystery of our own journey. Every breath is a gift, every silence is an invitation, and every moment is a chance to start again in the heart of the light. Trust in the power of your own stillness, and let it be your guide and your friend, now and forever. In the heart of the silence, all is well, and all is peace. Be quiet, be still, and know that you are truly blessed by the grace of the universe. There was once a traveler who found a small, hidden valley where the water in the stream ran so clear that it was almost invisible. He noticed that because the water was so quiet and so pure, the stones at the bottom appeared like precious gems, and the reflection of the sky was more vibrant than the sky itself. He realized that our own minds are like that stream, and when we are full of the noise of our own thoughts, the beauty of the world is hidden from us. But when we are quiet and clear, the simplest things in our life begin to shine with a light that we never noticed before. May your mind be like that clear stream, and may your silence reveal the hidden treasures that are already present in your heart. The journey of the soul is a journey into the heart of silence, where we rediscover our true nature as a part of the infinite whole. In this discovery, we find the freedom to be who we truly are, and to live a life that is a beautiful reflection of the wisdom and the compassion of the path. This is the promise of the silence, and it is a promise that is being fulfilled in every moment that we choose to be still and aware. So move forward with a quiet heart and a peaceful mind, knowing that you are on the right path and that the silence is always there to guide you home. The journey continues, and the silence is your most faithful companion, now and forever. Trust in the silence, and let it bring you the peace that you have always been seeking. In the heart of the silence, you are home, and you are at peace. Simply be quiet, be still, and let the light of the silence fill your soul with its infinite grace. As we move toward the horizon, let the silence be your foundation and your guide, helping you to live with awareness, with kindness, and with a heart that is full of love for all beings. The journey is magnificent, the silence is true, and you are blessed beyond all words. Trust in the silence, and let it lead you home. The deep stillness of the midnight hour offers us a profound realization that silence is not just the absence of sound, but the presence of an ancient, cosmic patience that holds everything together. There was once a master of the silk trade who lived at the edge of a great desert, and his fabrics were known to possess a shimmer that seemed to change with the light of the moon. He was once asked by a rival merchant how he managed to create such ethereal patterns, and the master invited him to sit in the loom room during the hours when the rest of the world was asleep. He explained that the silkworms spin their cocoons in absolute quiet, and if one listens carefully to that silence, one can feel the very vibration of growth and transformation. The master believed that every time a weaver spoke an unnecessary word or entertained a restless thought, a microscopic knot was formed in the thread, making the final cloth less radiant. By working in total harmony with the quiet of the night, he was not just weaving silk, he was weaving the very essence of tranquility into the fabric. This is the subtle path of the one who understands that our inner quiet is the true source of our outer excellence, regardless of the craft we practice in the world. When we approach our daily tasks with a heart that is settled and a tongue that is stilled, we infuse our work with a quality of grace that cannot be replicated by effort alone. In the ancient records of a mountain lineage, there is a story of a young monk who was obsessed with finding the perfect sound of enlightenment, traveling to every famous bell and every echoing canyon. He spent years recording the tones of thunder, the chime of temple bronze, and the roar of great cataracts, yet his heart remained as agitated as a trapped bird. His teacher finally led him to a high, windless plateau where the only thing to be heard was the thin, high whistle of the rare mountain air. The teacher told him to stop looking for the perfect sound and instead to look for the one who was listening, the silent witness that remained unchanged whether the world was loud or quiet. In that vast, empty space, the monk realized that the sound he had been seeking was the very silence of his own awareness, a sound that was always present but hidden by his own constant searching. When he returned to the valley, he no longer needed to chase external echoes, for he carried the bell of his own inner stillness within him at every moment. We often spend our energy chasing experiences that we think will bring us peace, forgetting that the peace is the very foundation upon which our capacity to experience is built. There is a gentle irony in the way we use our voices to praise the silence, creating more noise in our attempt to honor the quiet. The true devotee of the path knows that the highest praise is to simply become the silence itself, to let our lives be an unwritten poem of presence and a wordless song of compassion. When we walk through a crowded street, we do not need to announce our spirituality or our wisdom, for the way we move without rushing and the way we look at others with a steady, quiet gaze speaks more than any sermon. This silent radiation of peace is the most effective way to help a world that is drowning in information but starving for the truth. A story is told of a lighthouse keeper on a remote island who never met the sailors he saved, for his work was done in the solitude of the lantern room, far above the crashing waves. He spent his days in total silence, polishing the glass and ensuring the flame was steady, knowing that his quiet dedication was the only thing standing between a ship and the rocks. He did not need the sailors to know his name or to thank him, for he found his satisfaction in the steady beam of light that cut through the darkness. Our own practice of silence is that lighthouse, a steady flame of awareness that guides us and those around us through the storms of emotion and the fog of confusion. We do not need to be seen or appreciated to be effective, for the light of a quiet heart carries its own inherent value and its own silent authority. In the quiet, we find the courage to face the things about ourselves that we usually try to drown out with the noise of entertainment or the distractions of social status. We see our fears for what they are, just temporary shadows cast by the flickering light of our own ego, and we realize that they have no substance in the vastness of our true nature. This honesty with oneself is the beginning of true integrity, the state where our inner reality and our outer expression are in perfect, silent alignment. When we stop lying to ourselves in the quiet, we find that we no longer have the energy or the desire to deceive others. Our speech becomes naturally honest and our actions become naturally transparent, for there is nothing left to hide in the clarity of the stillness. There was once a gardener who was known for growing the sweetest fruit in the kingdom, but he never used any fertilizers or complex techniques. When asked for his secret, he said that he spent every morning talking to the silence that surrounded the roots of the trees, acknowledging the dark, quiet work of the earth that allowed the fruit to become sweet. He understood that the most important parts of the tree were the parts that were never seen, the roots that reached deep into the hidden reservoirs of the soil. Our own spiritual roots require that same period of dark and quiet incubation, a time when we withdraw our energy from the surface of things and direct it toward the core of our being. In the silence, we are nourishing our roots, ensuring that when the storms of life come, we will stand firm and our fruit will remain sweet. We often worry about the harvest, about whether we are achieving enough or being recognized for our efforts, but the silence teaches us to focus on the roots. When the roots are healthy and deep, the harvest takes care of itself, emerging in its own time and according to its own natural laws. The wisdom of silence is the wisdom of the earth, which accepts the rain and the sun with the same steady, wordless gratitude. It does not complain about the cold of winter or boast about the warmth of summer, it simply continues its cycle of growth and rest in perfect harmony with the cosmos. When we align our own hearts with this earthly patience, we find that we no longer need to be in a hurry, for we are moving with the pace of the eternal. There is a profound beauty in the way a single drop of water can fall into a quiet pond and create ripples that reach the farthest shore. In the same way, a single moment of true silence in our own heart can send ripples of peace through our entire life and the lives of those we touch. We do not need to make grand gestures to change the world, we only need to be quiet enough to let the ripples of our own awareness spread naturally. This is the power of the small and the quiet, the power that eventually transforms the hardest hearts and the most difficult situations. Like the constant, silent dripping of water that eventually carves through a mountain of stone, our consistent practice of stillness eventually carves through the mountains of our own habits and prejudices. We become more flexible, more open, and more able to flow with the changes of life without being broken by them. The silence is the medium of this transformation, the gentle fire that burns away the dross and leaves only the pure gold of our original spirit. In the quiet, we hear the subtle music of the universe, a harmony that is always playing beneath the discordant noise of human conflict. This music tells us that we are safe, that we are loved, and that we are part of a magnificent and eternal plan. It is a music that brings tears of joy to the eyes and a sense of profound belonging to the soul. When we live in resonance with this music, our lives become an expression of the divine, a silent prayer of gratitude for the gift of existence. Every breath becomes a sacred ritual, every movement a dance of devotion, and every silence a celebration of the truth. The path of the wise is not a path of escape from the world, but a path of deeper engagement through the power of a quiet heart. We bring the silence of the mountain into the marketplace, the stillness of the lake into the office, and the peace of the stars into our homes. We become a source of stability and hope for those who are lost in the noise, a calm harbor where they can rest for a moment and find their own way back to the center. Our silence is our greatest gift to the world, a mirror that reflects the light of the truth and a sanctuary that offers the comfort of the spirit. Trust in the silence, for it is the very breath of the religion, the voice of the universe calling you home to the heart of the mystery. May you always find the strength to be still, the wisdom to be quiet, and the love to be who you truly are in the magnificent tapestry of life. The journey of the heart is a journey back to the source, and the silence is the path that leads us there with grace and with joy. In the heart of the silence, all is revealed, and all is healed, for the silence is the embrace of the eternal. Be still, be quiet, and know that you are at home in the heart of the infinite peace. As the quiet of the midnight hour settles over the earth, let your own stillness reflect the deep peace of the stars. We are all connected in this great web of life, and our silence is the thread that holds us together in a shared understanding of the truth. May you find the rest you need in the quiet of your own heart, and may the silence bring you the clarity and the joy that you truly deserve. In the heart of the silence, all is well, and all is peace. Simply be, and know that you are truly blessed by the mystery of your own existence. The path of the wise is a path of silence, of compassion, and of profound understanding. May you walk it with grace and with joy, now and forever. In every quiet breath, in every silent moment, the light of the truth is shining through you, guiding you home to the peace that is your true nature. Trust in the silence, for it is the language of the soul, calling you to the heart of the great mystery of life. Listen with your whole being, and let the silence lead you to the light that never fails. The journey of silence is the journey of homecoming, and you are already there, in the quiet center of your own being. Simply be, and know that all is well in the grand and magnificent dance of existence. As the stars continue their silent journey across the sky, let their light remind you of your own eternal nature. By dwelling in the quiet, we become more aware of our connection to the infinite, the part of us that transcends the boundaries of time and space. This awareness is the source of true happiness and a peace that passes all understanding, a gift that we can share with the world through our quiet and loving presence. May you always find your way back to this source, and may your life be a beautiful expression of the silence and the peace that you find there. In the heart of the silence, we are one, and in that oneness, we find our true purpose and our ultimate fulfillment. Simply breathe, be quiet, and know that you are loved beyond all words by the very silence that holds the stars in their place. The path is open, the silence is true, and the journey is beautiful beyond all measure. Let us walk it together in peace and in light, honoring the sacredness of every moment and the mystery of our own journey. Every breath is a gift, every silence is an invitation, and every moment is a chance to start again in the heart of the light. Trust in the power of your own stillness, and let it be your guide and your friend, now and forever. In the heart of the silence, all is well, and all is peace. Be quiet, be still, and know that you are truly blessed. There was once a traveler who reached the edge of a great, silent forest, and he was afraid to enter because he could hear no sound of life within it. He sat at the edge for many days, until a small bird flew out and landed on his shoulder, its eyes bright with an ancient wisdom. The bird didn't sing, it simply looked into the traveler's eyes and then flew back into the trees, inviting him to follow. The traveler realized that the forest was not empty, it was simply full of a life that did not need to make noise to exist. When he finally entered, he found that the silence was like a cool, refreshing water that washed away all his worries and his fears. May your own heart be like that silent forest, a place of peace and beauty where the soul can find its rest. The journey of the soul is a journey into the heart of silence, where we rediscover our true nature as a part of the infinite whole. In this discovery, we find the freedom to be who we truly are, and to live a life that is a beautiful reflection of the wisdom and the compassion of the path. This is the promise of the silence, and it is a promise that is being fulfilled in every moment that we choose to be still and aware. So move forward with a quiet heart and a peaceful mind, knowing that you are on the right path and that the silence is always there to guide you home. The journey continues, and the silence is your most faithful companion, now and forever. Trust in the silence, and let it bring you the peace that you have always been seeking. In the heart of the silence, you are home, and you are at peace. Simply be quiet, be still, and let the light of the silence fill your soul with its infinite grace. As we move toward the final horizon of this sharing, let the silence be your foundation and your guide, helping you to live with awareness, with kindness, and with a heart that is full of love for all beings. The journey is magnificent, the silence is true, and you are blessed beyond all words. Trust in the silence, and let it lead you home. In the silence of the early morning, as the world prepares to wake, let the peace of the universe fill your soul and bring you to a place of ultimate clarity and rest. The journey of silence is the journey of homecoming, and you are already there, in the quiet center of your own being. Simply be, and know that all is well. The shadows of the night are beginning to fade, and a new light is rising on the horizon of your awareness. Let the silence be the light that guides your steps and the warmth that nourishes your heart. In every quiet breath, in every silent moment, the truth is being revealed in all its simplicity and beauty. Trust in the silence, for it is the voice of the divine, calling you to the heart of the mystery of life. Listen with your whole being, and let the silence lead you to the light that never fails. The journey continues, and the silence is your constant companion, now and forever. May the peace of the silence be with you always, and may it bring you to the place where all questions are answered and only the truth remains. In the heart of the silence, you are home, and you are at peace. Simply breathe, be quiet, and know that you are loved beyond measure by the very silence that holds you. The path of the wise is a path of quiet joy, a path of deep understanding, and a path of infinite compassion. May you walk it with grace and with joy, now and forever. In the heart of the silence, all is revealed and all is healed. Trust in your own quietude, and let it lead you to the peace that has no end. In the silence of the soul, we find the true meaning of our life and the ultimate purpose of our existence. May the great silence hold you always in its loving and eternal embrace, and may you find the joy and the fulfillment that you truly deserve. As the light of the new day begins to shine, let the silence of your heart be a prayer for the well-being of all beings. In the quiet, we are all one, and in that oneness, we find our true home. Be still, be silent, and know that you are truly blessed by the very mystery of life. The path is open, the silence is calling, and you are ready. Trust in the light that shines in the stillness, and let it lead you home. The dawn of this realization does not break with a thunderous roar, but with the quiet expansion of a flower opening its heart to the first touch of the sun, reminding us that the ultimate wisdom of silence is the ability to witness the entire universe within the span of a single, quiet breath. There was once a master of the celestial arts who lived on a peak so high that the clouds were like a soft carpet beneath his feet, and he spent his years watching the stars without ever feeling the need to name them or to claim them as his own. A seeker once climbed the treacherous path to ask him how one could find the truth amidst the endless noise of human desire and the clamor of 1,000 different opinions. The master did not open a scroll or recite a complex formula. Instead, he poured a cup of clear water and held it up to the morning light, letting the silence of the mountain speak for him. He eventually whispered that the truth is like that water, it has no color, no shape, and no voice of its own, yet it sustains everything that lives and reflects everything that shines. He explained that as long as we are trying to grasp the truth with our words, we are like someone trying to catch the reflection of the moon in a bucket, only to find that the movement of our own effort disturbs the very image we seek to hold. By letting go of the bucket and simply standing by the lake in total stillness, we find that the moon is already there, perfectly clear and intimately close, requiring nothing from us but our silent presence. This is the homecoming that the path promised from the very beginning, the realization that the silence we have been cultivating is not a wall between us and the world, but the very bridge that connects us to the essence of all things. We see that the noise of our life was never a problem to be solved, but a surface ripple that we allowed to distract us from the profound depth of our own being. When we return to this depth, we find a peace that is not the opposite of noise, but a vastness that includes every sound and every silence in a single, harmonious embrace. In the ancient chronicles of a forgotten forest, there was a story of a great bell that was made of an alloy so pure that it could only be heard by those whose hearts were completely quiet. The people of the surrounding villages would often gather to listen, but most heard only the wind or the rustle of the leaves, while a few would claim to hear a melody that changed their entire lives. The secret was not in the bell itself, but in the quality of the listening, the ability to let go of the internal chatter of me and mine, to hear the vibration of the isness that hums at the core of every atom. Our own life is that bell, and the music we produce is determined by the silence we bring to the listening, the space we allow for the divine resonance to move through us. When we are silent, we are no longer consumers of experiences, but participants in the sacred mystery of existence, moving with the same grace and intelligence that guides the migration of birds and the turning of the seasons. We realize that we are not separate from the stars, the trees, or the stranger we meet on the road, but are all expressions of a single, infinite life that knows no boundaries and no end. This realization is the ultimate healing, for it dissolves the fear of isolation and the anxiety of lack, replacing them with a steady, quiet joy that flows from the wellspring of our own awareness. We find that we no longer need to seek for love or for meaning, for we have become the very space where love and meaning are born in every moment. The wisdom of silence is the wisdom of the sun that shines on everyone without discrimination, and the wisdom of the earth that supports every step without complaint. It is a path of radical humility and immense power, a way of living that is both invisible to the ego and luminous to the soul. As we walk through the final gates of this sharing, let the silence be the light that illuminates your every thought and the warmth that nourishes your every action. Trust in the silence as you trust in your own breath, for it is the most intimate and the most expansive part of who you are. Every quiet look, every patient word, and every moment of stillness is a testament to the truth you have found in the heart of the great mystery. You are a guardian of the peace, a witness to the light, and a vessel of the eternal silence that holds the world in its loving embrace. May you always find your way back to the center, may your heart remain as clear as a mountain spring, and may your life be a beautiful, wordless song of gratitude for the gift of being alive. The journey never truly ends, it only deepens, as we learn to live more fully in the vibrant, creative, and infinite silence of the present. Simply be quiet, and know that you are loved beyond measure by the very mystery that created the stars and the seasons. In every quiet breath, the universe is breathing through you, and in every silent moment, the truth is being told. Listen with your whole being, and let the peace of the silence lead you home to the heart of the eternal now. The path is open, the light is clear, and the silence is your home, now and forever. May the great silence hold you always, and may you find the joy and the fulfillment that reside in the heart of every quiet soul. Trust in the silence, for it is the only thing that will never leave you, and it is the only thing that truly knows the way. Be still, be silent, and know that all is well.